welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Appreciate your patience here this morning as we got set and ready to go for you to talk on the heels of Game 3 of the 2026 NBA Finals. The Knicks stealing 2 in San Antonio to start off the series, and San Antonio turning around and saying, "We see what you did, and we got you." So they turn around and were able to close out in the second half after a very close first half that ended on the Knicks side with some momentum, and in my opinion, very easily could have shifted to San Antonio taking charge going into the second half, but the Knicks were able to respond, did some good things, and moved on with a couple possessions in their favor going into the second half of this game, but ultimately the Knicks did not close this thing out. So following Game 3, we'll be talking with Dave Paziak and DT and DP as we discuss this series. The first two going to the Knicks in San Antonio, and the third, going to the Spurs in New York City, which fans were obviously not happy about because they showed out in droves. Ben Stiller to Derek Jeter out there. There was a lot of people that were out at this game. Tracy Morgan and Tina Fey both were courtside. Of course, Donald Trump became the first sitting president to ever attend an NBA Finals game. So shout out to that moment as well, and the chants of USA that were going on during that. So very interesting game. We're going to talk about a lot of different pieces of it, and we'll get Dave's thoughts on where the series could go from here in his opinion. We're up on YouTube and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.mixlr.com. However you're tuned into the broadcast, we thank you for being with us Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports meets life. And like I said, Dave will join us first inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', giving you the list of topics for the day and guests. Dave will be with us about the NBA Finals. Then in hour number 2 at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, I will be joined by Sydney Leitner, who has been on the broadcast before from Binghamton University. And this time around, she made history at Binghamton as not only being named, when you look at the awards that come from the school individually, the America East as a conference awarded her Woman of the Year for the entire conference, coming from women's cross country. So Sydney Leitner making history. Binghamton has never had a Woman of the Year in the America East, and now they do. So we'll be talking with her and her time at Binghamton as she finishes up and moves forward into the next chapter of her life. A lot of great stuff coming up, and cannot wait to have her back on the show to talk about the history she's made, and I'm super proud of her, so that's going to be an awesome moment for all of us to share here on the broadcast. And then we'll round out the show with the ingredients to success, and we'll be focusing today on the topic consistency in courage, and that'll be coming up at the end of the broadcast. So with that being said, we're picture in picture with the other half of DT and DP, Dave Paziak, speaking on the 2026 NBA Finals with the longtime basketball head coach and analyst, where the Knicks dropped their first game of the series to the Spurs. After winning 2, they've now had their first loss, and will head back to the Garden in a couple days. Dave, how are you?
Doing great, Dan. How about you?
Good. I'm looking at your shirt, and it's dark, and I'm looking at the logo quick, and I was like, is Dave wearing a San Antonio shirt? Is he low-key hitting on hitting the Knicks right now? So, but what are your thoughts? I mean, the Knicks stole 2 in San Antonio, and then the Spurs said, "We saw what you did, and we're going to go ahead and make you know what it feels like to do it right back."
Yeah, I was really, really impressed. I think it's a great response by the Spurs last night. We've talked the whole playoffs about how like they're such a young team and they're growing up in real time in front of our eyes. And to come into that environment in New York, um, I was listening, Spike Lee was on a pregame show on ESPN last night talking about, he was asked if this was the biggest sporting event, biggest contest in New York City history, and he likened it to Ali Frazier. And really like the vibe and the environment around the game, was incredible, for the city and for the NBA and for the Knicks and for a team like the Spurs, um, with that level of inexperience to come in there right from the jump They
Yeah.
established Wemby right out of the gate, and every game in this series, the Spurs have jumped on the Knicks right out of the gate, and the Knicks have been fighting from underneath the whole series, and that can be a tough way to live game after game after game. So I think that's something the Knicks have to really address going forward. How can they start games better and not be playing from behind right out of the gate? But great response by the Spurs last night. I thought Wemby's the best player in the series, and last night for the first time he played like the best one player in the series. And then Castle has been, um, I think both ends of the court. He took care of the ball a little better last night. Turnovers were in the Spurs' favor, and I think earlier in the series, the Spurs were kind of mixing up who's guarding Brunson.
Yeah.
It was pretty much Castle all night last night, and I think he's good enough and physical enough that I mean Brunson's a volume guy, and he's got to play better. If you look at just his bottom line numbers, I think Brunson's playing great. Brunson has not played well this series except for about a 6-minute stretch at the end of game one. So I think Castle has really done a good job of making Brunson work, especially last night, making him work for every shot and turning him into an inefficient player.
Yeah.
And in turn, the Knicks have become they've started in stretches to revert to the Knicks of old, which is Brunson going one-on-one with four guys standing around. Not to the extent that they've done it, pre-Mike Brown back in the Thibodeau era, but the Spurs, their perimeter defense in its fourth quarter, especially their closeouts were as good as you're gonna see in basketball. And I think in some stretches, they've been able to minimize and negate that great ball movement and spacing that the Knicks had going for them most of this playoff run. So, um, fascinating series, though. I mean, could easily be 3-0 Knicks, but at the same token, it could be 3-0 Spurs. I mean, they had the lead late in both the first two games, and they're a Wemby 10-footer away from being up to one. So.
Well, you said a lot of pieces there, and I want to break it down and take a look at a lot of the things that you said. One of the things that's on my mind when you talked about, you know, Brunson and how this was, like the fact that, I mean, we've discussed this for weeks now and throughout the postseason about how last season it was Brunson against the world, and this season there's obviously, he's the guy that they key in on, but it hasn't had to be all him, which is why they got to where they got to right now. But then last night, I just think about one of the plays going down the lane, and I think one of the commentators was talking about the fact, like, he's all by himself, and there was like three or four guys around him. To your point in what's going on with Brunson and what happened in game three, there was also another thing said by the commentator, and he said in the fourth quarter, there's a certain amount of time that Brunson's out, and then they bring him in. Well, they brought him in earlier than they typically do last night. What were your thoughts on that move by Coach Brown to whatever was going on with Brunson and however this game was happening, that he changed a little bit, kind of we're going to sit him for a second and then bring him in at his normal time, and then they shifted to bringing him earlier. Agree or disagree? Maybe what that said about the state of the series in game three?
Well, I think I'm not inside of Mike Brown's head, but I suspected he was looking at it like he needed to get him back on the floor because they were. I mean, Bridges was pretty quiet last night, and Shaman was terrible. I thought he really hurt them, and he played a lot of minutes last night. I was surprised he played as much as he did, given that he's not making shots, so he's not a positive. And then other aspects of the game, I thought he was really a negative last night. I actually thought maybe they should have played McBride a little bit more instead of Shamit. But I'm guessing he came back with Brunson a little bit earlier than they typically would, just because he wasn't. Towns was kind of a non-factor last night. So I think that probably he came back with Brunson earlier because they weren't, other than OG, they weren't. Hart made some shots last night, which doesn't happen every night, so that helped him. But
Yeah.
I'm guessing he came back with Brunson a little bit early for that reason.
Yeah, and in bringing up Hart, I mean, at one point I think he was 4 for 6 from deep. he came on toward the end of the second half to really help them out. And there was a moment in the game where Hart hit a big time shot, and then they kept working the ball around, and then Brunson hit a three that was even farther back. I think that Hart was around the right wing, and then the one for Brunson was more straight on, but it was farther beyond the line. That end of the second quarter, going into halftime, when the Spurs were up or it was tied. Like the Knicks were ahead, then the Spurs tied it, then the Spurs go up a little bit, but I think Wemby went 1 of 2 at the line, and then there was a response from the Knicks, and there were some big time shots. What did you take away from how the first half ended, where the Knicks had it, the Spurs were seemingly trying to take it, almost took it, I should say, and then the Knicks ended up with some big time shots, and I think one of Hart's threes came around that moment.
Yeah, I mean, every game in this series has had a huge ebb and flow to it. Um, big runs. Spurs jump out, double-digit lead. Knicks coming back. Knicks take the lead. They've been earlier in the series. Knicks jump in front. Spurs rally. So I'm not super surprised that the game followed the same kind of ebb and flow pattern. Um, I thought going into halftime, the Knicks kind of asserted themselves last couple of minutes of the second quarter. And that first start to the second half, I thought was really, really key. And I thought had the Knicks, and the Knicks have had an issue. They've had an issue starting games, but they had the same kind of issue start of the second half.
Yeah.
Um, I think the Knicks coming out of halftime had an opportunity to really seize control of the game at home, and how would a young team like the Spurs respond? Um, and the Spurs responded, and they really immediately kind of got themselves back in the game and reasserted control of the game early second half. And um, you know that I thought that was a really, really critical stretch of the game where the Knicks kind of squandered an opportunity to put their step on the Spurs' throat a little bit.
Well, it felt like a bend but don't break. I don't know if you got a sense for this, but watching the game, it felt like the Spurs just stayed poised and stayed calm and then chipped away. It looked like what, and I know Knicks fans aren't going to want to hear this morning, it looked like what a champion would do. It was almost like if you're in a ring, and I'm going to go back to Ali Frazier because Spike Lee brought it up before the game. It was almost like being in a ring, saying, okay, the Knicks got some punches here. And then they got a few threes, so let's call those some good hits, right? And now we're wobbly a little bit. And we're kind of letting them think we might fall down, but we're just going to keep our eyes on them and we're going to keep working around the ring, choosing our spots. That's kind of what I saw from Wemby. I kind of saw somebody in the ring that was just watching you going, okay, you got one, you got two, okay, you got me again, but I'm just going to keep working around here and I'm just going to pick my moments. And I think that happened with Castle. I think it happened with Harper. Is that something similar that you see, that the Spurs just had almost a quiet poise in the game?
Yeah, it comes back to what we've talked about with them kind of growing up in real time. Um, you know, they were they're composed beyond their years a little bit. Um, I mean, there's a little bit of a veteran influence on the bench, but none of those guys played last night. Biombo and Barnes and Olynyk, Plumlee, like none of those guys played. So I'm sure their locker room influence is there,
Yeah.
to a certain extent. But the guys that are playing for the Spurs, these are all like, first, second, third year guys for the most part. I think the one guy who's got a little bit more experience in those kind of situations, Fox, and he didn't have a real efficient game, but they put the ball in his hands and he made a couple of big plays when the game was in balance too. Um, but I think that San Antonio, um, the longer the series goes, you feel like the more the Spurs young guys, like they've got, it's kind of hard to describe. They've got like an unspoken confidence or borderline cockiness about them.
Yeah.
Um, that the moment doesn't seem too big for them. Um, the Harper's another guy that I think like he's shown flashes of, um, being a standout player. Like Harper reminds me as a rookie, kind of like where I thought Tyrese Maxey was with the Sixers as a rookie, where he showed you flashes of being like a really high level, like all NBA caliber player, and that's kind of what I see out of Harper right now. Um, and those guys are all playing with supreme confidence, and yet they're playing with um, a level of poise and composure last night that they really, they mismanaged at the end of the game, first couple of games a little bit. Their clock management and their game management wasn't great, and they did some sloppy things. Um, I thought last night uh, they took care of the ball. The one area of concern, if I'm the Spurs, is the Knicks had their way on the glass, and
Yeah.
game could have been over earlier had the Spurs done a little bit better job on the defensive glass. I thought the Knicks' offensive rebounding kind of kept them in position to have a chance to win down the stretch last night. So I mean that's one thing that the Knicks need to continue, and the Spurs need to clean up a little bit.
Well, and to your point, play around the rim here on DT and DP inside of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside these Great Lakes Honda City studios. Dave Paziak, longtime basketball head coach and analyst, and my person of choice when it comes to breaking down the game, especially talking about the NBA over the years here on Wake Up Call. To the point of being around the rim, this is something that makes me mad, and it's probably going to make you laugh, but I don't like that the Knicks poach my Raptors all the time. And it did make Dave laugh. So for those of you that are on internet radio, I saw his face immediately. So OG Anunoby, who I didn't want to see go, who was part of the team that won the 2019 NBA Finals, but he was injured, so he didn't really, give on the court during that run against and eventually against the Golden State Warriors. But OG Anunoby was a part of the future, a part of the youth of the Raptors, and he, like a bunch of other players historically, crossed the border into New York and became a Knick. OG last night around the rim, and they talked about where it's happened earlier on in the series, where he'll time Victor Wembanyama right. And when we talk about Wembanyama's ability around the rim and just being the tall specimen that he is and the agile player that he is, that, once you get to the rim, if you make the wrong choice, he might make you look stupid. Well, OG has already found success with this, but last night he was really finding success with it, and he was just good at what's Wembanyama going to do, when's he going to jump, what angle do I have, and not only did he get to the rim, but he got cleanly to the rim. So what are your thoughts, despite the loss by the Knicks, of what the Knicks are doing on something that we talked about pre-series, which was how do you address the play around the rim and how do you address getting to the basket and getting around Wembanyama? How have you seen the Knicks answer the call around the rim through the first three games? And then specifically Anunoby, do you think he's timed Victor better than anybody?
Yeah, well, I think the first couple of games, Wemby guarded Towns a large part of the game. And Towns had a lot of success drawing Wemby away from the basket and then going by him and getting to the rim, finishing. And Wemby had to respect him as a three-point shooter, perimeter shooter. Last night, I think this is part of why Hart got the good looks he did. Excuse me. Wemby, like the Spurs kind of changed their defensive matchups and their rotations a little bit. And I think one of the things that was really key to the game that really didn't get talked about is like they got a lot of good minutes with Keldon Johnson in the game and playing largely Towns. And the Spurs put Wembanyama on Hart a lot, which allowed him to rim protect a little bit more. But I think when OG, specific to him, I thought he did a lot of the things that Towns had success with against Wemby in the first couple of games, to where he's able to pull him away a little bit. And like you said, I mean, your point is really well taken about his angles and his timing around the rim were really good last night, and he was able to finish. Um, largely because they were able to pull, he was able to, and the Knicks were able to pull Wembanyama out of really good help positions.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great, and it just made me more angry that he's not a Raptor. So, on the other side of it, for the Spurs, Castle, there was a play where the ball went up and he ran. There was a few plays that happened at the Garden in Game 3 where the officials had to review it to see if it was a common foul or if we were going to talk about it being a flagrant, if we were going to up the ante. Well, there was a play with Castle and Brunson in the first half that put Brunson on the ground. I know that I have my thoughts and I'm not going to load the question. So I'm just going to say to the play where Castle saw the ball go up and as it's going to the rim, decided to take off running. Brunson's in his way. We both saw what happened. The world saw what happened. What do you think happened? Do you agree with the officials or do you not?
Well, I mean, they called a foul. They called a common foul, right? So, I think that's probably the right call. Um, it's interesting. I think the officials haven't, the officiating, I think, has not been, I haven't liked the officiating the whole series, right? And I think they've set a bar of allowing, I mean, some of the stuff, the officiating off the ball, I think has not been good the whole series.
Yeah.
You know, I think like that play, I mean, you could have called excessive contact was borderline. Like, given what's been allowed to go on in the series, like I was okay with that just being a common foul. Um, I think some of the stuff that's going on, especially off the ball with the holding and grab, like you watch like the last 5 minutes of that game last night, what Towns was doing to Wemby to keep him to, he's basically bear hugging him to prevent him from being able to go get the ball. Um, I think the bar has been set now at such a low level as far as what's going to be allowed physically and everything that I don't think the officials, I mean, the commentators have talked about this a little bit too.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's stuff that's like not basketball that's been allowed to go on in the series. And I know some people like that. It's like, physical away game. Like NBA's like supposedly has wants to allow more freedom of movement and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, in the playoffs, game slows down, the game gets more physical, always has been, probably always will be. Um, but I think right now they've kind of set the bar at such a level that it's going to be hard to rein that in. And I think some of that is leading to some of the reactions that you see in this series. Wemby should have been hit with a flagrant on a play with Brunson early in the game, which, nothing was called on that play. Again, that was like an off the ball thing that the officials did a poor job of. You saw Hart's reaction, when Cornette's trying to take the ball out of bounds. So I think like part of it is teams get really familiar with each other. Part of it is like, this, the play in the playoffs gets really, really physical. And part of it is I think the way the finals have been officiated has contributed to that. So where you're going to continue to see little flare-ups and tempers rising and things like that, probably all the way through to the end of the series.
And I mean, it's interesting that we're talking about this because, the on the ball, off the ball, if this is something that you see commonly, or if you feel like, I know you said it's gotten out of hand in this series and how things slow down in the finals, and obviously you got two teams that are at the end of the road. I mean, who we all remember the champion, how many of us remember the runner up? So we know how much this means in this moment, and we know that the Spurs have had more success in in the last few decades than the Knicks have had, where it's been a very long time. And 27 years ago, when they saw the Spurs, it didn't go in their favor. And 53 years ago, they won an NBA title. So when you know kind of where we're at right now and we're at this end of the line, why do you think the officials are struggling with off the ball versus on the ball?
Great question. I think there's, whether it's conscious or subconscious or whatnot, I think there's the players are going to the players are going to push it as far as the officials will allow them to push it, right?
Yeah.
So, like I said, particularly as the game slows down and everything, It gets more and more physical, more and more hand-to-hand combat, and in the when the game becomes a half-court game. And I think that's one of the things that gave the Knicks some success in the first couple of games is they were able to take the Spurs out of transition, make it more of a half-court game where um, things tend to favor the Knicks a little bit more. Um, I think officials, like in their mind, be they don't want it to turn into a foul fest, and um, the officials are cognizant of they don't want to know the officials are deciding the game, or there's too many whistles, that kind of thing. So I think officials are really sensitive to that aspect of it, and sometimes the pendulum swings too far in the other direction. And
Yeah.
like I said, I mean, playoff basketball has always been, more physical, and more things have been allowed and everything, but it really feels like it's gotten past the point a little bit in this series. And I think the officials, it's a funny thing, like to me, the expression letting them play is one of the dumbest expressions in sports, right? Like when you're not exercising some control and allowing some degree of freedom of movement, I think what you're doing is you're penalizing the skilled player. Um, and we're at the point where that house is out of, or that horse is out of the barn for this series. So I don't think there's really, I mean, I would be shocked if you see the officials come out and really establish a tight whistle early in any of the remaining games in the series. They'll be incremental, like, we got to clean things up. And especially if you start to see more of an escalation of things like the Wemby play on Brunson and Hart's reaction to after the made basket and everything. So um, I think a little bit is just human nature, and it is the officials not wanting to be um, put in a position where uh, people accuse them of deciding the game.
Yeah, and I think it's just, I mean, it's difficult because you don't want the official to be the third. You don't want the officiating crew to be the third team on the court, and you never want it to come down to them. But this has been a close series, Dave. Game one went to the Knicks in San Antonio by 10. Game two went to the Knicks in San Antonio by 1. Game three went to San Antonio in New York by 4. So the fact that officials very well may be involved in the last 20 seconds, 10 seconds of the game in a series this closely contested is high. So what is your takeaway as we've seen the first 3 games be so close, and in the last 2 games be one possession, 2 possession games? If the officiating crew is struggling with certain things they're calling, not calling, and we know this is going to come down to a shot or two if it continues on this path, what are your overall thoughts on a series that is closely contested, but then allowed to let them play, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately the teams have to adjust, right? And I think they've both done that to a large degree, and um, they're playing in a way that the game is being allowed to happen and being called and being allowed to happen.
Yeah.
Um, I think, like, if you saw the press conference after the game last night, Brown was whining about the foul discrepancy and everything. The whistles tend to favor a little bit the more aggressive team and the team with momentum, and like the Spurs were the more aggressive team through most of that game. So, um, I think on the one hand it came across as whiny on Brown's part, but on the other hand, I also think Brown is litigating for the next game, if you know what I mean. You'll see that,
Yeah.
you'll see that in basketball and in sports in general, where like a lot of times, like the post game comments are more designed to plant a seed for the next game. So, um, the next game, don't be surprised if the free throw disparity goes in the Knicks' favor, because I felt like, um, besides like being a little whiny and a little bit frustrated in the moment, I also felt like Brown was litigating for, for game 4.
Okay, as a coach, do you think that works? Like, do you believe that complaining after one game, in the essence of trying to change how the next game will be officiated, do you think as a coach that that works as a ploy, as a tactic? Does it work?
Maybe a tiny bit, yeah, just because of human nature. But the officials are professional, right? It's not like I mean, if you had like Saturday morning rec league officials, it might have more impact. But um, the officials, I mean, they're all like, I question why a couple of guys get in the finals pool, brothers and Foster. Surprised to me that they get finals games, especially brothers this year with some of the stuff he's been through. But but those guys have been doing it a long time, and I don't think like litigating through the media has a ton of effect on the officiating, especially at um, this time of year. I think the thing that could have more effect is from a league perspective, and this is more of a long-term thing. Like I said, you're not really going to see a big difference in how the game's called the rest of the series. But if the league comes back, that's why the league put such an emphasis a few years back on freedom of movement, because the game was getting out of hand, regular season and postseason and everything. And and I think it's really helped the growth of the game and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, people that like they opine and they reminisce about like the bad boy Pistons era and stuff like that. Everybody played like the bad boy Pistons. Nobody'd be watching the NBA, you know. Um,
Yeah,
so like I
that's
think the
true.
game right now is in a really good spot, and I think if there's going to be change to how it's called, I think it's going to come more from the league than it is. If you remember back to when they first went, we put such an emphasis on freedom of movement, you go back like 10 years or whatever, 10, 12 years. When that first kind of came into being, the first like third of the regular season was really choppy. Like the league told them, you're going to call these things, you're going to call them, you're going to call them,
Yeah.
and the players adjust, right? But then I think what continues to happen is you get into playoffs when the game slows down, and there's a tendency to kind of you don't want to be as the importance of the game increases and the spotlight on the game increases. I think like there's a tendency to call less and less and less. And I think, that's, like I said, it's always been that way, probably always will be that way. I mean, you see it in college basketball too. They come out with rule interpretations at the beginning of the year, and the first month of the season, the officials call it. By the end of the year, a lot of that is forgotten. So, I think the difference in the NBA is the officials all work for the league. So, you get pretty much the same game every night in the NBA,
Yeah.
which I mean you don't in college basketball, to be honest with you. So, and the officials have to answer to the league. So if the league wants the game called in a certain way, the officials are gonna follow that directive for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, and again, you don't want them to get involved. I mean, you don't want this to be a point like you don't want an official to swallow their whistle at the end of the game on something that they would call in the beginning of the game because the game is close. But you also don't want them to let everybody play and be as physical. Going back to the one that I mentioned with Brunson and Castle, Castle to me, every angle that I saw it, it looked like he knew what he was doing. It looked like he was like, all right, I'm going to take off. To me, it was like a little kid seeing if he could get away with something, where it's like, I know Brunson's there. I can go around him because he could have gone outside toward the foul line, or he could have cut in toward the baseline, but he went beeline toward Brunson, and I felt like he knew, okay, I'm trying to get to the basket, so I'm going to look at the ball, but I know where he is. And he did make some contact that I thought was kind of like a little kid trying to get away with it. But then I also thought Brunson flopped. So, like, you know what I mean? When I go back and I look at it, I'm like, is that why the official didn't up the ante on the foul? Because maybe Castle was being a little childlike, but Brunson was also selling it a little bit. I mean, I want to go to that. So, do you agree or disagree with what I'm saying about that play? But then to extend it, kind of a part B to this, Dave, I mean, why are grown men flopping? Because I just, every time I see it, I lose respect for I just feel like it's like spitting on. I feel like if you flopped in front of Charles Barkley, he would step on you. I feel like the old NBA would just wreck these guys for doing this stuff.
Yeah, I think specific to the play you're talking about, I mean, it's pretty clear, Castle, he intended to blast him, whether that's to send a message or to, you know, what his thought process is in doing that, could be to disrupt them, to send a message, that kind of thing. Didn't appear Castle was too awful concerned with taking a foul on that play.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's, take a foul, and that's always been part of the game too, is like, sometimes you take a foul to send a message for whatever reason, you know. Um, so, in the bigger context, there was really good discussion on the on the pregame show when they had Silver on about concerns of the league, and flopping was one of the things that came up. And to your point, I think like there's two levels of flopping, right? There's the flopping, to deceive when, I mean, there's no contact, right? And guys are flopping, um,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's flopping where there's legitimate foul, and the guy is exaggerating to sell the call, but there is a foul there.
Yeah.
So, I think discerning between those two things is, one of the challenges of the officials, and I think the league recognizes that it's an issue.
Yeah.
You got guys like Brunson, right? Um, Harden in his heyday was a chief perpetrator of that. SGA is another guy that like he gets fingered for flopping a lot, and I think there are times where, especially in specific to SGA, where I think it almost works in reverse for him, where he's kind of developing a little bit of a reputation as a flopper, and so now he's not getting calls because officials are anticipating a flop, even when maybe there was contact there. So I think there's a little bit of a double-edged sword to it, and I think it's something that the league seems to recognize as a potential issue, and something that I think that it's on their radar to address.
Yeah.
But it's not a simple solution, because in real time it can be really hard to discern whether it's a flop where there's nothing there and the guy's trying to kind of bait the officials into making a call, or it's an exaggeration of a legitimate foul.
Yeah, I mean, because I've watched video about guys where unless Casper punched him in the face, it's there's nothing happening. But I don't know. Somebody played I played basketball growing up. I still go on the court to this day. That it's grimy to me. It's just grimy. Like, I understand you want to sell certain things, and you want to make sure that, like, if the ref's not calling something that's blatant, if you keep taking an elbow to the chest and an elbow, like there was a game I was playing where this guy, every time I went toward him from the top of the key, anytime I went in his direction to try and go to the basket, he would take his bony elbow and put it in between my chest. And the ref, nothing. There was nothing being called. And then I reacted by, giving it back to him, and then he's crying to the ref. So, to me, it's like there are those moments where it's like, ref, this happened 4, 5, 6, 10 times, and now you're only but they always say that. They always see the reaction. They don't see the initial. But I feel like I was taught be physical or get off the court. Where I'm looking at the NBA now, where it's like, these people are getting punched in the face by ghosts that somehow left the ride of the Haunted Mansion in Walt Disney World. Does it bother you, and do you see it at the collegiate level when you are coaching games? Have you seen your players or other people's players? Because I'm trying to picture Dave Paziak on the sideline with a guy, and there's like somebody let's say there's somebody by my jersey behind me, and I start running toward that person, and then they look like they got punched in the chin. Like, have you witnessed it in real time when you're coaching? And how do you react to something like that? Because, I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect anybody. I think it's weak. I think it's weak to be Neo in the Matrix and throw yourself across. And I think some guys might end up getting hurt by faking the foul and then throwing themselves on the floor, especially if you hit your tailbone, which I was concerned about Jalen Brunson last night. So I just want to get your thoughts, Dave, because I find it to be very just anti-basketball to have these ghosts punching these players in the face.
Yeah, I mean, I think you see it at all levels, and it's probably, to be honest with you, like when you get into college basketball, it's probably worse than in the NBA because the officiating is weaker,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
especially when you get into the Division III level and everything, um, there are guys who are good at drawing fouls, and some of them, I come back to. It's kind of like the James Harden effect. Like when Harden cracked the code of the NBA, and when he was like in his prime and everything, um, he was a guy that just he had the ability, knack for getting to the foul line. Part of it was drawing contact. Part of it was selling when he draw contact. Part of it was selling when there was nothing there. And I think there are guys at all levels of basketball that have become pretty adept at that. And I think the weaker the level of officiating, um, I think you see two extremes. I think you see officials react more and more to theatrics when there's nothing there, but I think you see the opposite effect too, where some officials, especially when you're playing on the road at our level of college basketball, when you have guys that are constantly like over dramatizing things on the court. I think there are some officials who will turn that off and then they won't give the guy a foul when when he's legitimately getting hurt, getting hit. So,
Yep.
I think I mean, it's something that has kind of um, found its way into the game. And like I said, I think it's, you know, I don't want to say blame Harden, but I think it's an effect of when Harden kind of cracked the code on that for a few years in the NBA. I think, um, it's become more and more part of the game at all levels since then.
Yeah, and I can't I can't stand it. Dave. I'm saying I grew up with Barkley and Magic Johnson was playing and sat there and addressed us all that he had HIV. I mean, there's I mean Robert Parrish played till he was 87 years old. It felt like, I mean, there was the NBA back then is why I fell in love with the NBA. And then I just kind of lost my love for it, and it's back a bit now. I would say it's back. I always blame you that our conversations help me, really care more about it, because I felt like we lost a lot of the team. I felt like we lost fundamentals. And then there was other team. I mean, there was teams that started to show me. There were the Bulls at a certain point that I was like, okay, I like them. I think they're fundamentally sound. I liked watching Derrick Rose. I think the Thunder definitely showed me a fundamentally sound team. San Antonio was considered boring, quote unquote, for the way that they played basketball, but it was efficient, and boring was championships. So I guess it's okay to be boring. So I want to see a better product, and I think we've gotten some better. I just it frustrates. The flopping is it's weak. I will tell you this. This is what I'm gonna say, Dave, before we close out here. If you're dating an NBA player and he flops 3 times within a week, break up with him because he ain't a real man. That's my thought on it. That's how I feel. Okay. That's where I live, Dave. So you and I said Knicks in 6 going into the series. You said Knicks in 6 or 7. It's still a reality, our predictions. We have our next game on Wednesday, June 10th, for those of you watching and listening live, that's going to put us back at the Garden, back with the city lit up in orange and blue. So do the Knicks find a way at home and go up 3-1 and go back to San Antonio? Or are we going back to San Antonio like the series just started and it's 2-2? Where are you thinking this thing is going to go?
Yeah, really, really pivotal game on Wednesday. The whole narrative of the series swings wildly depending on who wins or loses. You'd like to think, I guess my gut feeling says, Knicks, I mean, with their experience level and everything, I mean, Brunson hasn't had a really good game yet, and you think that's got to happen at some point. Um, I think one of the things and one of the adjustments Knicks need to do is they got to really try to establish Cat early. Um, the way the Spurs tried to establish Wemby early last night. But I would give game three playing at home again. I would give the edge to the Knicks.
Okay.
I think the Garden's still going to be hopping and still be buzzing, but I don't think maybe at the same level that it was last night because it was the first game at home and everything. But slight edge to the Knicks, and I'll stick with where we landed with Knicks in 6 or 7 long, like deep series.
Yeah, I thought the Knicks would do it at home in the Garden. I said Knicks in 6, and I still feel that way. So I think the Knicks, they got to turn on and stay on, and they got to close this game out. I mean, coaches talk about it all the time. It's not how you start, it's how you finish, and the Spurs showed that last night. So we'll see where the Knicks go in Game 4, but just so you all know, if you're looking for a ticket to this series, good luck, because Game 4 in Madison Square Garden, the lowest price ticket, $4,738. Game 5 in San Antonio, $1,728, so $3,000 less, which I'm going to put it to you like this. I want New York taxes to go down because of all that. This is how it should be, Kathy Hochul. To the games that are being played at the Garden and the amount that they cost, that ballooned price to the nth degree should take our taxes down, even if it's only for 3 months. It should be like National Grid. Every 3 months, they look at what you've utilized and they adjust your bill. Well, you're getting all this money coming into the Garden for these outrageous prices, so maybe upstate New York pays less taxes for the next 3 months. And if you want to go to Game 6, if it ends up happening here that we have ourselves a Game 6 back at the Garden, $11,768 for your cheapest touch the top of the Garden seat. Insane. With that being said, Mr. Pasiak, I appreciate you as always. I thank you for your time. And I can say that 100% of this screen, we don't flop. Thanks, Dave.
All right, thanks, Dan. I'll be waiting. If this thing goes to 6, I'll be waiting for my comp courtside ticket, care of Wake Up Call.
Hey, listen, I'll be waiting for mine too. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care, Dan.
Take care. With that being said, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break. When we spin back around on this beautiful, beautiful broadcast this morning, and I say beautiful because my guests are absolutely amazing. Always look forward to talking to the wonderful people that I have the blessing and the privilege and the grace of God to talk with. So we will take a step aside inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. When we are back here on the broadcast, I will have the opportunity to bring Sydney Leitner back to the show. She's been on the show before, but never on the show as the Woman of the Year, excuse me. So we're about to speak with Sydney. We'll talk with her right after this step aside for a fast break. Stay with us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as we celebrate history out of the break. And now a message from Myers Creek Brewing Company, with locations at their Cazenovia Farm Brewery, Syracuse Inner Harbor Tap Room, and soon-to-be Lake Placid Tap Room.
Well, I think first and foremost, the Feldmeyer family and our team are extremely passionate about what we do. We care very much about what we do. The Feldmeyer family is always investing. Our taproom management team, our brew management team, our marketing management team, and all of the team members that get after it every day, they leave it on the field. They put their heart and soul into it. I know for a fact that everyone that works at Myers Creek wants to be there, and we want them to be there. You know, we want them to feel good about their job. And again, if you've never been to Myers Creek, especially to the brewery, I mean, I want your eyes to open really big. I want you to see how big of a brand this is. I want you to see where we're going. The sky is the limit, and I feel very proud of that, and I'm very excited about that. When you think of designing a menu for a brewery, it's kind of open to a lot of different interpretations. I mean, you can do American, you can do Asian, you can do Italian, and you just have to find, you know, how that meets that pub style dining experience, that gastropub vibe. And I think it's super fun for us because obviously we know that, you know, everyone in the world's going to sell a pizza or a burger or a french fry, but what can we do to be different? And what can we do to be true to who we are? We are a brewery, you know, a brew pub. So the flavor profiles are kind of all over the place. place. And I think it's super cool that we have a massive smoker at the brewery in Cazenovia, and we smoke a lot of our products. We have a delicious smoked turkey. We have barbecue ribs on Sundays. From a pulled pork sandwich to a chicken wing, and you go to the Inner Harbor and you go to the Kaz location, and you'll find similarities in the menu, but also things that are a little different and also kind of fit those different demographics or different communities, and also hopefully just drive you to try every tap room that we have open at some point, because you get a little something different at each one. We understand how hard it is to work every day and get after it every day, and when you're done at the end of your day, you want to go out and put your feet up in a good ambiance and good environment. So we take pride in that. We make sure that everyone knows that they're very much valued to us.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. They are open for sales and service Monday through Saturday, so make sure you head over there, and always online at greatlakeshondacity.com. With that being said, I am picture in picture here on the broadcast, and always happy to be here with your Binghamton University Bearcats. Binghamton University and I, through Dan Tortora Broadcast Media and Wake Up Call, have our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership, as we are 2+ years into this partnership and telling the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni right here where sports meets life inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Sydney Leitner is here with me, picture in picture. Women's cross country, finishing up her time at Binghamton. I'm sad about it. I'm sad that we're here, but she's going on to the next chapter, and sad in the fact that Binghamton doesn't get to feature more awards and opportunities with her as a student athlete there. But happy because now that I know Sid, I have the opportunity, of course, to bring you back as an alum. So first and foremost, Miss Leitner, congratulations on becoming the first ever America East Woman of the Year in Binghamton University history.
Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, has it hit you yet that no woman that has ever stepped onto the campus of Binghamton and played any sport at any time of 20+ sports that are there has been named Woman of the Year by the conference, and now you are the torchbearer? You will always be the first, hopefully not the only. Has it hit you yet?
And so I didn't actually know up until David O'Brien posted the graphic and with the caption that I was the first ever to win it. I was talking with my dad, and he was like, I don't think I've ever seen it. And I know we've had nominations, which doesn't surprise me, but I didn't want to assume, so I had no idea. So in some ways it hasn't really hit me. In some ways it has. The honor has certainly hit me. That in and of itself, to be nominated initially was incredible, and then to be, I guess, the first winner from Binghamton University was also, yeah, in some ways I think it's finally getting to me. It's catching up.
What does it mean to you when you see Woman of the Year? I mean, to me, it goes, I know they're honoring you as a student athlete and what you've done at Binghamton and in the America East overall. But when I see Man of the Year, Woman of the Year, to me, it's more than one thing. It's more than just simply a sport. What is the essence of Woman of the Year to you now that you've won it?
So I was fortunate enough to give a speech to some of the administrators at a conference they had to congratulate the people of the year. And I guess my answer to that question is kind of the same thing that I said to the administrators, which is that this award reflects more than what we do on the court, on the field, on the track, wherever your place of competition is. And that's something that I'm really grateful for, because I think that's what we should be praised for as student athletes, is not necessarily just our athletic awards, but what we're able to accomplish as a whole person and as a whole student.
Yeah.
We get to explore so many things as a student athlete. Yes, we get to travel across the world and meet incredible people and see incredible things through our sport, but we're also students. And that's something that I don't think should be forgotten. And we do other things, internships and jobs, and we are more than who we are as an athlete. And I think this award does a very good job at recognizing that, and I'm grateful to have been acknowledged in that way.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. I mean, it's a theme of almost every conversation that I've had in many, many months, and really ever since it came out, that Binghamton University is a top 10 public Ivy League school, that student matters and student athlete. And I'm constantly having conversations here on the show about NIL and the transfer portal and house settlements and all this stuff that's going on in collegiate athletics, and lack of responsibility, accountability, family, sticking together, making it all about the money. And then I take this breath of fresh air when I talk to Binghamton, and it's like, I like my school. I like what I'm learning. I just got an internship that led to a job. So what does it mean to you to go to a school that values the total person and not just the athlete side of you?
I think nowadays, especially with the ever-changing landscape of the NCAA, there are part of it which I guess now that I've left it, I can just say, I am not the biggest fan of where it's heading, as you mentioned, turning the student athlete role into more of an employment. I think that takes away from what we go to college to do, and that is to learn, and that is to explore the professional realm. Yes, getting to prolong our life in our sport is a blessing, but to feel like we're a market to be grabbed at, like we're employees that some people don't get compensated for it.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of that. So part of why I ended up choosing Binghamton was that I didn't want to get swept up in it. I felt the values of Binghamton and the values of the conference were very much aligned with my own, in that I knew I wanted to do more than just my sport.
Yeah.
And I wanted to feel encouraged to do more than just my sport. And that's part of why I ended up with Coach Acuff, is she granted me the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, you didn't want to get swept up in it, and you don't like where it's heading. When you're at Binghamton University, do you feel like by and large across the athletic department that there is this care and appreciation and respect for the world beyond sports? I mean, we've seen championships. We've seen back-to-back baseball, back-to-back softball. We have seen people that are qualifying and going to the Olympics. And, of course, now we've seen a Woman of the Year, and we've seen 2 Men of the Year in the America East when it comes through Binghamton University. We've been spoiled. We saw a great women's soccer campaign this past season. So do you think that overall at Binghamton University, there is a passion and a love and a respect for the total student athlete, in your opinion?
Yes, absolutely. Without question. Absolutely. Even in talking to athletes outside of competition, because truthfully, I'd be lying if I said I was well versed in other sports. I think soccer is the one I could closest relate to. But as some of my teammates will joke, I'm the furthest thing from an athlete despite being able to run. That's the only thing I'm good at. But I think that's the well-roundedness of our program and the encouragement towards doing other things it's rather silly, but even in a conversation with other people, you hear them talk about things other than just their sport.
Yeah. And I think it's huge. I mean, I can't tell you how many times here on the show we talk about family, we talk about food, we talk about faith a lot. And I don't know what it is about. I think it's just where Binghamton's located, but y'all got some upstate New York versus New York City, New York versus New Jersey. And I want to know, you said you didn't get swept up in the crazy NCAA stuff going on nationally, but have you gotten swept up in the New York, New Jersey battles that happen in all good fun at Binghamton? Because I can honestly tell you, if I go and I take clips, I have some amazing conversations on teammates that just like to razz each other about, we got the bagels, now we got the bagels, and we got the stuff. No, we have the stuff. So have you been swept up in it?
I will give you another clip then, because one of our, I guess now sophomores, is from New Jersey.
Okay.
And an old teammate who graduated a couple years ago was also from New Jersey. And our team is very much split between upstate New York and Long Island and the city areas. The conversation of who has the best bagels, as a Westchester resident, I hate to concede to Long Island. However, I fear I would get jumped if I went back, having said anything else. I have no problem disrespecting Jersey, Alice. I'm so sorry, but our bagels will trump Jersey bagels any day of the week. Any day of the week. On top, if we're gonna go ranking bagels, I think Staten Island, Long Island, Westchester, Jersey.
Okay.
That's where I stand. And then recently I committed to train with Garden State Track Club, which is Jersey based.
Hmm.
And I did feel a strong sense of almost, I felt like a traitor. I felt like a traitor. I was afraid my dad was going to see, oh, my daughter's running for Jersey as a New Yorker.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can keep her under our roof anymore. So it was rather funny, but I'm lucky to be doing that and go New York, go Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, what? But it's been for. I mean, I've lived this. If you're from New York and somebody says New Jersey, your first reaction as like a child is ew, and then it's the same thing if it's New Jersey to New York. What you just said, running for a team in New Jersey, I thought my parents would potentially disown me. We joke about it, but there's a little grain in the joke of could it happen? So, what do you think is this thing between New York and New Jersey? Because it's gone on forever, it never goes away, and it's one of the constants in life that New Yorkers will get after New Jersey if it's about food, if it's about driving, if it's, I mean, I remember crossing into New Jersey, going over the border of New York to New Jersey, and it was like as soon as I crossed in, the rules of the road changed. The right lane was going fast. The left lane was slow. My entire life made no sense. So
Hmm.
I saw.
I don't even know if there are rules in Jersey for driving. I don't know if you have to have a license. I don't know if you have to be practiced. I don't know if you have to have 20/20 vision or corrected vision. And a part of this is definitely over dramatic. However, um, I don't know who's worse, Massachusetts or Jersey. I know Massachusetts gets its own nickname for its driving, but I will say I respect the hustle of a New Jersey driver. They know where they're going. I'm just terrified at how they get there as somebody else who's also trying to make it to her final destination. It's
I
very funny.
I've told my New York, New Jersey jokes on this show before. I don't think anybody just had a better set than what you just threw at Jersey. So, to all my Jersey listeners, we love you.
I'm so
We
sorry.
appreciate you. Please support your new runner. But you just said go Knicks, and we just had a big conversation about the Knicks here. So I said Knicks in 6 going into the series. By the way, if that game happens, currently those tickets, the cheapest ticket to go to Game 6 in the Garden, if and when that happens, almost $12,000. So, and those are not floor seats. Those are not luxury boxes. That is to sit in a bad seat. I don't even want to say a bad seat. They're not a bad seat in the Garden, but to sit at the top of the Garden, essentially. So, or maybe to sit in Jersey and watch the game. So my question to you, do the Knicks bounce back? Because 3-1 is a lot different than 2-2. So are the Knicks going to figure this thing out that they let go out of their hands in Game 3? Are you concerned? Are you not concerned? Where do you land with the Battle of New York and Texas?
So I'm gonna put a big asterisk before I say anything.
Okay.
I don't follow basketball. Up until I found out the Knicks had made it this far, I didn't have an interest in basketball.
Okay.
The most I know about basketball is genuinely from my guy teammates and a lot of the local ones in the area who will talk about it, and I happen to just be a passerby or an open ear. So a lot of this is very superficial knowledge, if I'm being entirely honest. That being said, I'm a firm believer in carrying momentum forward. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that they lost last night was truly unfortunate, and I'm so sad that I fell asleep before the game ended. Um, they didn't lose by a lot, it looked like. So I guess that's hopefully encouraging. I hope they're able to have the team mentality that says, hey, we didn't get blown out of the water last night. We're still in it. Obviously, I know that the environment at MSG last night was altered due to one reason or another, so that probably played a factor in it. Because the vibes of MSG are just they're world renowned.
Yeah.
And I have hope for them. I think they kind of maybe need a little fire under their belt. They've been on an incredible winning streak, and I think that was only rivaled by a record from the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Um, so maybe they needed this. Maybe they needed a little bit of an ego check going into game 4 and said, "Hey, this isn't going to be handed to us. We didn't get blown out. Let's just keep fighting for it and get game 4, game 5, 2 more."
I will tell you this. To all the focus on one of the guests that was at Madison Square Garden, who was sitting away from the court. I want to know why no one was complaining that Ben Stiller was making people feel uncomfortable by being courtside. Or the fact that Tracy Morgan or Tina Fey, Spike Lee is part of the fabric of it. Like he's the cement. Like he's there all the time. He's there when they stink. He's there when they don't. But some of these other people coming out of the woodwork, it's just funny how they're like, we've never had a sitting president go to an NBA Finals game, but I don't know how many of these celebrities would have been at any Knicks game this year, some of them, unless the team was winning as much as they would. So all I will say is, Are you more concerned?
They are other fans.
Yeah, so I'm like, are you more concerned about the guy behind the plexiglass that's far away from the court, or are you more concerned about Ben Stiller and Night at the Museum being able to breathe on you that's right there? So... But I was concerned about the energy. I mean, like, all jokes aside, I was concerned about the energy, for sure.
Yeah, I truthfully, again, I stay out of that realm. Whoever's going to be there is going to be there. I think the more fans, the better. If you want to show up and support the Knicks, I'm certainly not going to complain. I don't have the money to go and support it, so if you guys do, go cheer them on. I don't want to hear go Spurs. As long as you're saying go Knicks, I don't care who you are. Yeah, I think that was it. I mean, just to alter the vibes of MSG, no matter for whatever reason, it's one thing or another. And I just want to see them win again.
Yeah.
I don't really care what happens. I just want to see the Knicks win again. I want to see them hoist that trophy up in a couple games. That's it. That's all I care about.
Yeah, and I'm with you on it. You mentioned bagels and you ranked a borough that gets massively disrespected first. You said Staten Island. I asked someone to rank the 5 boroughs, knowing, being pretty confident that Staten Island is always last. It's always thrown to the side. The Bronx gets love. The BK, Brooklyn gets love. Of course, Manhattan gets love. Queens, the home of Spider-Man, gets love. But Staten Island typically gets left off by itself. It's not a real borough to some people. It's far away. So you gave love to Staten Island, which doesn't get it a lot, and you put their bagels top. So for someone who finally gave me a positive list with Staten Island number 1, why are their bagels the best? And is this because Yorktown Heights? Is this because of where you hail from? Bring me into why Staten Island is the winner for you.
So I love Westchester bagels. This is no hate to Westchester. I just got some yesterday. One of my favorite things that my mom sends up to me in like a care package is bagels. And she'll send up 2 dozen and be like, put them in the freezer. Here you go. That being said, my uncle is from from Staten Island, now lives on Long Island. And every time we have a family gathering where breakfast is involved, if I'm not mistaken, he will drive to Staten Island for his butcher meats and for his bagels. And every time they're so good. I don't know what makes them good. Same thing with like the New York pizza. I don't know what about it. If it's the water, if it's the flour, if it's the freshness because you're getting it from the ports. Yeah. I don't know. All I know is I'm not complaining. But that was something that I grew up with my uncle being very passionate about getting the bagels where he's from his home. And then one of my teammates is from Staten Island, so it does kind of feel nice to pay her a little bit of an homage and give Staten Island something positive other than the fact that it's Staten Island.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just they get knocked so much. So you're finishing up obviously your time and this chapter of your life, Binghamton University, as a student athlete, coming to a close. We talked about Woman of the Year. Has it hit you? Has it hit you that when you get an award like that, it's typically going to a senior, and it's saying, it's kind of like that, God bless and Godspeed forward. So how do you kind of live in this moment of what a terrific honor, but also a notifier to you that there is going to be a closing of a chapter and a beginning of a new one?
I think it hit me the hardest when Coach Acuff I was fortunate to have her introduce me before I got up for the award.
Yeah.
And she referred to my time at Binghamton in the past tense, which in all of my goodbyes, I don't think I've had goodbyes. I've had, I'll see you later. I'll see you at Albany. I'll see you at wherever the next meet is. To have somebody so, I guess, openly refer to my career in the past tense made it the most real. And made it very hard to then get up on stage and not, be emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I think I'm very fortunate to live so close to the university and to be in such good contact and hopefully such good standing with the girls that are still on the team where it wasn't as hard of a goodbye as I was expecting, which I'm very fortunate to say.
Yeah.
Obviously, it wasn't easy leaving them because my relationship to the team is obviously going to change as an alumni,
Yeah.
but I don't think my connection is going to stray too far, not for a while, not while I know all the girls that are on the team.
Well, I think that's the thing, right? Is that when you're a relationship person and not a transactional person, nothing ever ends, no matter how tough it gets. And to that vein, your teammates, the people that you've been in the trenches with, so to speak, what have these relationships at Binghamton kind of grown into? And how do you, how do you kind of see moving forward? I mean, is this family for life?
Absolutely. I wouldn't have had it any other way. I remember coming in as a freshman and, be partially being inserted by coach with my training and then partially just inserting myself because that's who I am or was. I always felt connected with the upperclassmen, and that was something that as I rose up in age and then to fortunately to be a captain, that was something that I felt was very important, is that everybody felt connected, regardless of whether or not you're a fifth year, a freshman, a sophomore, whether you're competing or not, whether you're healthy or not. I knew that I felt so welcomed on the team. I didn't want, with obviously within reason, to ever feel any other way.
Yeah.
And I think as a result of that, I've been very fortunate to be very close with all of the girls on the team. I'm very bad at texting, but I've tried to be good about it, especially after graduating. And I don't think there's any one of them that I would hesitate to be like, how's your summer? I miss you. How's it going? What are you up to? Want to call me while I run? Even the freshmen, I gave one of them a call a couple weeks ago and was like, hey, I'm bored. I'm going for a run. Want to call me? So they are truly family. They are one of them has a sister who's my age. She was like, "You're like a big sister to me." And if that's not family, I don't know what is.
Well, yeah, and I think, yeah, we have blood, but I think your family, blood or not, becomes the people that you choose and choose you. And you said you're bad at texting, but you're trying to get better. And you said you can call me while I'm running. So text or call, because, and I want to let you know my secret here. I'm trying to get the generations of the future to remember that there was a time that the phone's only purpose was to hear the voices of the people you care about. It wasn't to do 78,000 things.
Mhm.
So, will you call? Will you talk on the phone? If you're not a good texter, are you a good caller?
No. I'm
Fair.
still arguably just as bad. I like calling if it's going to be like a brief 2-minute call. Because in all honesty, I'm usually running around between one thing or another, and if I'm not running around, I'm probably sleeping. Um, I I like calling while I run. Texting and running is not very conducive. It doesn't often go well. It usually ends with somebody face down in the dirt or terribly worded text that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Um, I am bad with texting in general because again, running around, it doesn't really help. Like I'm not gonna text and drive. I can't text while I'm asleep. I can't text while I'm baking and have a million other things in my hands, or I'm writing a paper, or I'm studying. So it ends up being that more often, if I can text you, I can also call you unless you're busy. But I think it's important, and given that I've been so bad about it, when I was, excuse me, able to see people in person, not being able to see them in person, I know that if I want to keep these people in my life, I have to make that effort. I have to make that change, and it's worth it.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I always tell people this should be a rule of thumb. See them if you can. If you cannot see them in person, call them. If you cannot call them, text them. May texting be your last resort and not your first and only. You talked about baking. I want to say that when you were on the show before that we lived in the world of baking. I think we discussed it. So, what are you baking? What's the best thing you got? And if mom sends you care packages, then I think, I should also have a care package sent to me. So what are you baking? And this is not to make you feel bad. This is to put my parents on alert. People got care packages in college all the time. But
Yeah.
my parents, apparently, who love me dearly, apparently they didn't know that care packages were a possibility or a thing because I watched other people get loved more than me. So my question to you is, if you were to send a care package of your baking, what's in it?
So if I was sending it to my brother, it would probably be banana bread and or brownies.
Okay.
That's his favorite, that's his go-to.
Okay.
Um, if I was sending it to somebody who has more of a, forgive me, Dylan, grown-up palate, I have this recipe from Pinterest, of course. It's white chocolate raspberry cookies. They are so good. They are the perfect summer treat. They are sweet, tangy, fluffy. I make them whenever I can. I've modified the recipe for gluten-free because my boyfriend's gluten-free. Comes out just as good, which usually there's a difference. So I'm glad to say that in this case there's not.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of cakes and cupcakes. They're really fun to make. I got into tiramisu this past semester, which is
Okay.
also surprisingly easy to make because it requires no bake time, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Um, and then you can never go wrong with the homemade vanilla cake. Butter cake is really good. I guess that's more of a southern thing, but it's simple flavor and basically 4 sticks of butter. So I'm sorry to anybody who can't have that much butter, but it's worth it. It's very much worth it.
I can honestly say that you saying Dylan's name and talking about the banana bread, I remember the conversation.
Yep.
So
Not much has changed in that regard. He's still a banana bread fan.
yeah, which is awesome. I feel like you low key also said that your boyfriend's more sophisticated than your brother, but we're not going to go there just because of his cookie tape. We're not going to go there. So we love you, Dylan.
Okay, he can hear through the wall behind me.
Oh, okay, that's all right, Dylan. My best to you. What she said to you was white chocolate raspberry is only for gluten-free people. I think that's what she said. And maybe
I'm pretty sure that's a good paraphrase.
yeah, there we go. I found a way around it. I work in words. So before we jump into rapid fire women's cross country, I want to go back to your time at Binghamton. There's a bunch of things I want to go to, but you've mentioned her multiple times, your head coach of women's cross country at Binghamton University, Annette Acuff. We've discussed her before. Coach Acuff, the impact she's had on your life on and away from the sporting world.
She was a mom when mine couldn't be there. They are very similar in a lot of ways, which is obviously very enticing for a young athlete and for a young college kid, right? Who wants to go to, I mean, I personally love my mom, so this is maybe more of a me thing, but it was nice to have such a similar energy to be around, especially knowing I was going to be around her a lot for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Um, she's been so patient with me and my growth, which I am fortunate to say there's been quite a good bit of. She has always been there. She's been patient. She's been supportive. She's been flexible. And in the busy world of college life, that's maybe the best thing I could have ever asked for. She is very good about, especially as I get to be an upperclassman, the communication between the two of us has gotten much more open, much more frequent, much more honest. The feedback has always been there. It's always been honest. I've never questioned what she's thinking, what she's feeling, what her plans are. We usually end up having the same goals for the year, the semester, the race. And maybe that's from time, maybe that's personality, maybe I just got really lucky. But she has been such an incredible role model and truly just encouraged me to find myself and balance my life as I see fit, knowing that I'm just as committed as I ever was to the team.
Said very well. Sydney Leitner here with us, Bearcat Breakroom, in this exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. You're watching and listening to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Now Sid gets to sit for a second while I get to say nice things. So as we take a look at this, your running career named after all that you've done with women's cross country in the classroom and, of course, in the sporting world. 2025-26 America East Woman of the Year, as we discussed. The announcement was made earlier on here a few days back, or last week, I should say, at the annual awards dinner at the Mystic Marriott Hotel and Spa. Now, this award, as well as the Man of the Year award, are presented annually to a graduating male and female senior student athlete who has been distinguished with himself and herself throughout their career in college in the areas of academic achievement, athletic excellence, service, and leadership. So as Sydney spoke about before and alluded to in our conversation here this morning, you do not get this award for simply being good in sports. You get it in academic achievement as well as service and leadership, which means a lot to Sydney, as she mentioned, about the total package and not just being an athlete in the student-athlete world. Now, Leitner, once again, is the first female athlete in Binghamton University history to be named America East Woman of the Year. There have been two previous Bearcat male athletes who got the America East Man of the Year award as we take a look back in 2017 to Joe Maselli and to 2023 and Jake Restivo. And so I want to go to something that was said here by you. Quote, "This award is such an immense honor as it reflects years of growth, sacrifice, and passion. To be the America East Woman of the Year recognizes more than my accomplishments as an athlete," so you echoed that today, "but those as a student and a rounded personality as well. I'm fortunate to accept this accolade of the America East, and I'm proud to have such a positive reflection on my career at Binghamton University," end quote. You mentioned the word sacrifice. What sacrifice or sacrifices do you feel like you made that had such an impact on your success at Binghamton?
I think I use the word sacrifice because truly I find so many things important, and in order to do it all and to do it as well as I wanted to, sacrifices were going to have to be made. I was going to have to let go, take a deep breath, step away from, reorganize in terms of priorities, multiple aspects of who I am in my career in order to achieve some level of success, similar to what I was striving for. Whether that was spending more time being okay to spend an extra 10 minutes in the training room versus studying, whether that was going to my clinical hours and deciding to be a nursing major, knowing that it might impair my ability to recover and train. Whether that was deciding, hey, some of my classmates are going out for drinks, but I have a meet in a couple days, so I can't go. They are all sacrifices that have been worthwhile, but they were necessary. You can't, unfortunately, I couldn't have it all. I can't go out for drinks and then expect to perform to the best of my level. I can't sacrifice my profession in order for an extra 30 seconds off my 5K, and I can't sacrifice my recovery, my health, and my fitness for 2 extra points on a test. And I think sacrifice is maybe the most appropriate word because I value all of those things. So to give up some of it is a sacrifice.
And when you look at time to study, time to train, time to have a personal and social life, and then time for yourself, do you feel like you have found a way to balance? I don't want to use the word master the balance because I think we're always working at it. But when we look at those 4 areas, personal, social, student, athlete, how do you feel finishing your career at Binghamton University? How have you found a way to juggle those 4 things?
I think I've been very fortunate to say that I've found a really good balance given, all the stuff that I've been doing, between interning and jobs and clinical hours and athletes or athletics and traveling. It's definitely taken time. It definitely took all 4 years to kind of figure it out. I'd say maybe by junior year, I had a better grasp on it. But certainly freshman year, I was all over the place. One day I was all in on running. The next I was all in athletics. That one weekend I was all in for social life. And I mean, that's classic freshman, rite of passage. You're allowed to do it. You're allowed to go all in on everything at different times. It's what you do.
Yeah.
I think that I had a lot of fantastic role models that kind of helped me find that way, helped show me what was possible, helped show me balance, helped show me that you can do all that you want. I think the best way that I was able to do that, and I guess the most important lesson that they passed on to me, was don't be afraid to put yourself first.
Yeah. And I think that's huge. And I think it's something that when you put yourself first, people that are taking advantage of you or abusing the privilege of you, they'll get mad, right? And they'll call it selfish. And you have to be able to say it is not selfish to be cognizant of what you need and to take care of those needs that you have. Coach Acuff said some things, and we're going to go to those words. She said, quote, We are all incredibly proud of Sydney and all of her accomplishments while at Binghamton. She has worked tirelessly as a student athlete and has significantly impacted our programs and department with her leadership. If there was an extra hour in the day, Sydney would find a way to best utilize that time and make an impact. It's been an honor to coach her, and I've truly enjoyed watching her grow and develop into the person and leader she is today. Coach Acuff used the word leader or leadership multiple times. What do her words mean to you?
I think, first of all, I remember sophomore year having the privilege of being nominated as a captain. And as an underclassman, I pretty immediately texted the upperclassman I was nominated with and deferred. I was like, I am an underclassman. I have been here for 2 years. I know very little about the sport and how the team functions. But I do remember the honor that it was to be recognized by Acuff so young as a leader, and then to carry that forward for all 3 years. Especially on the cross country team, there's 14 of us. Every personality gets its time, gets its light, gets shined on. And I feel very privileged that Acuff saw my personality and saw a leader in that. And I think each of the girls is a leader in their own way. Each personality brings something different. And I think the only thing that differentiates a captain versus anybody else on the team is just their ability to talk to coach. Because at the end of the day, that's one of the most important things that a captain can do for its team is just be an easy bridge, be an easy communicator, be an easy point of contact between coaches and administrators and the team. I'm fortunate to say that I never felt apart or different or more privileged, or the words are escaping me, but basically I never felt more important than anybody else for being a captain and for being a leader. I just felt like I was another point of contact for coach. And I think that's what it's all about, is showing, much like I had role models for myself, is just being a role model for everybody else.
Have you seen the fruit of that in
Yes.
working to be a role model? And you said yes. How have you seen that come to life, that you've bore fruit? Because there's the whole notion of there's trees on the side of the road, and you walk up to a tree, and does the tree have nothing on it? Does it look sick? Or is it bearing fruit that if I were to pass it, it could nourish me? How have you been a place for people to come to and have that fruit and have the positive impact that you've had? Where have you seen that happen?
I think that in the underclassmen, it's the most obvious place to see it, especially since those are some of the most formative years of college. Watching the girls come and ask questions, not just to me, but to other people on the team, and ask for advice, ask for guidance, ask for social time, ask for connections. That's something that really means a lot to me. And so at the end of the year, at the end of our award banquet with Binghamton, we do our senior send-off and our senior goodbye. And the juniors say kind words to the seniors, and usually there's some tears shed, and I won't lie, I'm a liability for that now. But I remember one of the juniors saying actually two of them saying how awesome it was to always have somebody that they could talk to. How there was never a time where they felt they couldn't tell me something or ask me something. How when one of them was struggling with an injury, how they never felt alone, how they never felt apart from the team. Hearing them say that without hopefully being under any kind of duress really validated all of the efforts that I had put in to help shape the team into what it is now. And I think it's in fantastic hands for the next many years to come.
Well, and credit to you for that. You know, the care and the nobody could say the things that you just said if you didn't have the genuine care and concern and desire to help people. And this world does not need to lose the art of giving, of paying it forward, and of doing something for someone expecting nothing in return. So before I get to my next point, I just want to take the time, not as a question, but as a statement, to say thank you for doing that.
Thank you for the acknowledgement.
Of course. So now in the classroom, this is how we reflect on Sydney's career. Named the America East Cross Country All-Academic Team twice during your career, 2023 and 2025. You were also named the State University of New York SUNY Chancellor's Women's Cross Country Scholar Athlete of the Year in 2024 and 2025. And in April 2025, you were inducted into the National College Athletic Honor Society and graduated last month with a degree in nursing and maintained a 3.64 cumulative GPA. When it comes to women's cross country, you helped to lead Binghamton to the 2023 Women's Cross Country Championships and runner-up finishes at a pair of conference outdoor meets in 23 and 24, as well as the 2024 indoor meet. You are one of only 10 women's cross country runners in America East history to be named first team all-conference 4 times during your career, and also earned all-conference honors in the 10,000 at the 2023 America East Outdoor Championships. I do want to also mention that you were part of Binghamton Student Athlete Advisory Council, SAC, throughout your career and part of the SAC e-board during the past 2 academic years. And then in your sophomore year, starting then, worked 6 to 8 hours per week in the Binghamton Sports Medicine Department. In 2024, you were the recipient of the Orthopedic Associate Scholarship Award. And at the Binghamton University Athletic Awards banquet on May 4th of this year, you were presented with the Jesse Godfrey Award, which is given to a graduating female student athlete for their accomplishments in athletics, academics, and within the community. You have embodied student, athlete, service, paying it forward, care, leadership, humble. There are so many pieces to your time that I'm going to say a few things. 1, Binghamton's going to miss you. 2, they don't have to because you're always going to be a part of the family. And 3, I'm going to say the most important thing, never dim your light. Keep shining it brighter, because Sydney, you have had an impact on people. You've had an impact when I've had the opportunity to speak with you. I feel honored to know you, and I am so moved by what you did with your major, how you carried that, as well as what you've done in your sport to have the career that you've had and to not have your scholastic side falter or your athletic side falter, or just being a human being with a personality and care and desire and having the nature that you have. I can honestly say we're better to know you, and I can just be excited for the next thing that's going to come. But please allow me to be along for the ride and have you come back, because I don't want to talk about history. I want to talk about what you do from here. And I just want to let you know that I'm genuinely proud for you. And I'm very grateful that I got to cross paths with somebody who has done so much in such a short amount of time. And I'm excited to see how that light from you is going to shine and affect other people from here.
Thank you. That's very kind. I appreciate it. And absolutely, we will be crossing paths again, especially if Mr. O'Brien has anything to say about it.
So with that being said, rapid fire. We've done it before. We're going to do it again. And you will have
Okay.
the first question, and then I'll ask, and we'll go back and forth for a few. What is your first question?
Sounds like a plan. So we mentioned this kind of right off the bat, initially with the ever-changing landscape of the NCAA. You've mentioned the plethora of athletes that you've gotten the chance to talk to. What is something personality-wise, athletics-wise, or academics-wise, regardless of Binghamton, that you want to see continuously reflected in the athletes that you talk to?
Well, I'm going to say some people have a faith, some people don't. I think at some point in their life, I think God whispers, and I think we expect him to shout. And one of the prayers that I always pray is, God, may we hear your voice, no matter how quiet it is, amongst all the screams. And I can honestly say that his whisper has been loud with Binghamton student athletes. And I never push my faith on anybody. I never force anybody into anything. And I can honestly say, I don't, push it in a conversation unless the student athlete talks about it. And once they do, then, I let the conversation go where it goes. And I can say that I've been moved by that more than anything, that I don't feel alone in a world that can be very cold at times. And I love the faith. I would say I want student athletes to keep the faith, and I've seen that on every level. I've seen it at the College Football Playoff National Championship multiple years, which I love that because it's such a big stage. and I've seen it with Dabo Sweeney at Clemson. We literally had an entire conversation on faith with the multi-time national champion. And so I would say I hope to see that. I hope to see team. I think if we're... I'm media by badge, but not by nature. And I think the media has taken their power and they have done everything they could at an alarming rate to separate this country so that they can control this country. I think that a lot of things that people think nowadays have been distorted, abused, and manipulated by the media. And I pray that the student athlete continues to know that people do care about them. It's not just me, but I am a part of that. And that there is a safe haven. There are people that will not twist your words. There are people that love you. There are people that support you whether you win or lose. And I would just say to the members of the media, shame on what you've done with your power. And I would pray that people continue to think for themselves and work together, and that in a media world that pushes individualism because individuals are easier to control than community, I would say that I hope student athletes continue to value community, to understand that if you transfer every year, you will never have a home. You will be an alum of nothing. If you continue to transfer, you will not get an education and you will not have a future. And if you continue to transfer, you will never know how to face life's problems. So I'm not saying you can't transfer once, and I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense to take a little bit of money for your family or to transfer if you got lied to or it's just a bad situation. I just want student athletes to stop running and start facing, because I promise you, this world has been set up for you to fail, and it's like the devil shaking your hand with a knife behind his back. And I want you to know there are people looking out for you, and I will never let the devil win. So I know it's a long-winded answer, but I mean it.
Absolutely. It's good to know that people still have community.
If community wasn't important and we weren't meant to be social beings, solitary confinement would not be a prison sentence.
I like that.
My question back to you, Sydney. If you took over my show for the day and it was Wake Up Call with Sydney Leitner, who would be your 3 special guests? Could be entertainers, sports, family, anyone. Could be people that passed away. If you could have a show of any 3, who would they be and why?
Hold on. I need to get these questions in advance.
That's why it's called rapid fire.
I know. So I think I'd have to invite Stephen Colbert on air. Now he's got all this free time. It might as well bring him on. I think I'd have to pay it forward with women's cross country. My teammate Vicky Morvanova has the most incredible stories, and I think despite almost 4 years together, there are still things that I'm learning about her. So I want to sit her down in a one-to-one for a good hour and get as much as I can, because I've known you for 3 years. How am I still learning things about you? So if I can get her here for a good hour, that'd be great. And then who else would I have? I'm trying to think of good media personalities. I think Ryan Gosling's very interesting to do with media. I see a lot of his stuff, especially with Project Hail Mary, which my brother and I just watched recently. Maybe it's just because I just watched it, but I think he'd be really funny to interview, and I honestly have some questions about the movie, so I'd be fine to get those answered.
I honestly think in a world of redundancy, that movie was so great, and I saw it multiple times in the theaters.
I think I've rewatched it twice already. It's fantastic. It's a good balance between like humor and philosophy and science. I had a great time.
It's also taught me that I'd rather speak to a rock alien than some of the humans on this planet. So
yes.
So what is your next question for me?
So I'm sitting here next to some of my sillier awards from Binghamton University, namely some of those from my teammates where we do senior superlatives each year. Mm-hmm. Do you know what they are before I go forward with this question?
I don't know them specifically. I know what you're talking about with superlatives, but
Yes.
yeah.
If you were to be nominated by your team, your family, your friends, what do you think would be the superlative that they hand you today?
Most consistent, most loyal, funniest. I would say this about my friends that have become my brothers. They said if you ever get up on a stage and you do your comedy, we will be in the front row and we will laugh. And we agree with you. You're just the only one crazy enough amongst us all to say it out loud. And I said, well, I'm calling all y'all out when I'm on stage. But I can honestly say I trust myself to go into a room of a bunch of stiff people and get them to laugh. I would say my loyalty is important to me because I want it, and you have to give what you want. And I am fiercely loyal. I am loyal until somebody else screws up. It's not I'm loyal until I decide to walk away. If I walk away from you, you've broken my trust. And then and I just had a conversation about that recently. I would say consistent because I consistently show up, and sometimes that's consistently late. A lot of times it is. I'm always trying to do a million things at once, and I am very bad about my timing, but I am working on it. And I would say, I'm going to say something that my friend Lisa said to me that I don't know if I appreciate it. It's probably the greatest award that didn't come with a material. And it was the time that it came. So I was married years ago, and something was wrong. And it was wrong for a long time. And I went to a kid's birthday party. I went to Lisa's son and daughter had a mutual birthday party. She came into town, and we were at my godparents' house. And out of nowhere, Lisa walked up to me, and she said, "You want to know something about you that I find very unique?" And I was like, "Go ahead. I mean, I trust Lisa." And she said, "If we met you when you were 3, or we met you in grammar school, or in high school, or in college, or as the business professional you are today, we would all describe the same person. Do you understand how difficult and almost impossible it is to achieve being you no matter when?" And she said that to me, and I went home that day and found out that I was being cheated on. And I just go back to that moment and I say, man, God was really trying to go, I need you to know who you are, because the world's going to shake you, and I need you to stand firm. And I will never, ever forget the words she said and the timing of her saying, do you know how impossible it is to do what you've done? How rare you are. And at a time where I felt thrown in the garbage, it was prefaced by somebody saying to me, don't you ever lose your value. And I will never forget that. So I will say my consistency, at least to one person, was clear. And I'm grateful for the time that it was said to me, because what should have been one of the worst moments of my life ended up creating a trajectory of me becoming the best version of myself. And I'm grateful to have people in my life that will never, ever let me lose myself.
The timing is incredible, so I'm glad that was able to bring you comfort. I'm sorry that happened.
Oh, listen to me. I will tell people all the time, that woman tripped up and saved my life. My question back to you, if you walked around with a neon sign that flashed above your head all day long, every day, and it was supposed to tell people in one sentence what to expect from interacting with you, what would it say?
See, this is a question I usually ask my friends because I have a hard time introspecting in this way.
Okay.
Because I have like some cheesy answers that I could probably give out. Depending on the time of day, I would probably have to alter the sign. Like at 7 a.m., the sign would be very different than it is at 1 p.m. all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm gonna, in a way, pay myself a compliment here, but compassion found here would probably be the neon sign. Because even if I have to cut a conversation short and apologize for it, I love knowing that I was able to make somebody's day better. And if that's through a hug, if that's through a cup of coffee, if that's through a text that I hopefully make the time to respond to, or a call, I think, and that's part of why I'm going into the profession that I am, that reflects one of the values of who I am at my core.
Well, I can tell you from just having surgery myself to seeing everything my grandparents have gone through, compassion, especially in your field, is we can never have enough of it. And please know, on your worst day, let me be Lisa to you. Don't ever stop having compassion found here, because there is never going to be a moment where it's not appreciated, even if it's not said to you or said to you right away. Bedside compassion, big or small, will never, ever, ever lose its value. So thank you for focusing on that, because I can tell you the compassionate people, to my grandmother especially, life-changing. So I'm happy that you're going into a field where you can give that to somebody.
Thank you. And thank you for recognizing the profession as well.
100%, because they deserve the love. Final question you got for me, Sydney. What is it?
Last time we talked a lot about travel and bucket lists and getting to go back. I believe you mentioned Spain. Have you gotten to do any of that traveling? And has your list changed at all in terms of bucket lists?
So, I did my Italy thing. I haven't done Spain yet.
Okay.
But my mom surprised me for my birthday last year and said, I am taking you on a cruise, and if you'd like, we will go to Spain and Italy. My mom has never been to Italy. My dad has with me. And I've never been, none of us have been to Spain. So I would say it's coming. I'm excited. My family from Spain still watches and listens to my show, which I am overwhelmingly moved by, to tears. And yeah, so I would say Spain is on the list. Paris more so now is on the list. I would, I've been to a lot of parts of the country, but I would say maybe like a Montana, Wyoming, Utah, maybe go out there because I'm a nature guy. And Hawaii, I mean, that remains. Hawaii definitely remains on the list because they said there's something about the culture there, like it's just different. No matter what island you're from, like it's one big family of a state. And I would love to witness that for myself.
That sounds awesome. Well, I'm excited for your cruise then. 2 for 1.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. My final question for you, Sydney. Okay. If you were going to have a movie made about your life, what actress would play Sydney Leitner?
It's actually funny that you ask this. So my boyfriend and I just watched 10 Things I Hate About You, which is my best friend Logan's favorite movie, and I was appalled that my boyfriend hadn't seen it. So I sat him down and I said, "We're watching this tonight." He found my doppelganger in the movie, which is rather funny because it's from 1999 and I was not born until 2004. But I really did a double take. It was like, wow, that's me. Truthfully, I would love, and her name is evading me, so anybody who's seen New Girl, I'm so sorry. But the actress who plays her, I would love to have her play, partially for the bangs, but in every clip I've ever seen of that show, she just seems like such a good energy and an incredible actress. So I would nominate her, and I definitely do a Google search for her actual name.
So the main character of New Girl?
Yes.
Funny you say that, because I just watched the show with someone else for the first time of us watching it together. I love the show, and it has had deep meaning in my life very recently, and her name is Zooey Deschanel. So she is, you're welcome. She is incredible. The show is incredible. And I go to sleep to it because it makes me laugh, and it's peaceful, and it's very much about community and compassion and all the things we've been talking about today. So with that being said, how cool of a conversation that starts off honoring you and ends with all of these synchronicities, God incidences, or whatever you want to call them. Sydney Leitner, congratulations to our America East Woman of the Year. And as always, I look forward to the next one.
Thank you. I look forward to the next time our paths cross as well.
And make sure that you tell your boyfriend that whatever he gets in the white chocolate raspberry to set to a side, and make sure that those get sent in the right direction.
Deal.
Okay, fair enough. And Dylan, I'm sorry, you're never going to get any. She's already made that choice for you. I'm going to share with her boyfriend. I guess you're on your own with the banana bread, brother, but banana bread's a good problem to have. So Sydney, take care. Say hi to the family. I'll talk with you soon.
Likewise.
Once again, Sydney Leitner here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. We cannot thank her enough and congratulate her enough for this run and the amazing accomplishment that she has had in the classroom as well as athletically, and always a pleasure to have a light on the show. We will take a step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, and we have not taken more than a very short commercial break because I believe in giving you the content here on the show. So we will take a step aside. You will hear from a bunch of our partners, and we'll bring you the ingredients to success, proudly presented by Avicolli's, in just a bit here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. I'm at a loss for words this morning because I'm just feeling very grateful.
Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McInerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Bryan and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Bryan and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Life gets busy, and sometimes that means us running around. So Canine Camp Dog Daycare offers you an opportunity to give your dog a place to stay while you take care of what you need to throughout the day. Canine Camp Dog Daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York. You can see it from the highway, and it's just off of Erie Boulevard across from BJ's Wholesale Club. Call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 to schedule an appointment to bring your dog in and tour the facility. Appointments are Monday through Thursday after 6:30, where you and your dog can see everything that Canine Camp Dog Daycare has to offer, including a self-serve dog wash and a retail store filled with all of your dog's wants and needs, including food, treats, harnesses, leashes, and more, making Canine Camp Dog Daycare your one-stop shop for your furry loving friend. Right, Lily? In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jim Dispenza, owner of Game Point Sports Complex. You hear the same story across any sport that kids play and any sport that adults play. There's never enough places to play. That was definitely true with volleyball, definitely true with basketball. Could be cheerleading, it could be field hockey, which is what we're seeing now. Every sport has a lack of places to play, and I think Syracuse in particular is a place where it's really bad. Despite the fact that we've got a lot of athletic talent around here, we just seem to have not enough places for people to play, and they're going to different places. They're going to Rochester, they're going to, Buffalo. They're going all different places because we don't have a place here, and I felt like that should change. This was a long project from planning all the way through execution to opening the doors. A lot of work went into it, obviously, a lot of money, a lot of resources, and the dream always was kids being in the gym, having a good time. I've always felt like sports is the most unfiltered joy that you can observe with people, that people can experience, because it is fun, it is a sense of accomplishment, it's all of that wrapped into one thing, and so watching kids going up and down the court with big smiles on their faces has been just amazing experience. I'm looking forward to years to come of that same thing. We've taken the time to invest in multiple sports, and then what we're finding is the mere fact that we have a large, clean, well-lit space has opened a lot more doors for us beyond basketball, volleyball, pickleball. Now we're having some interest from cheerleading. We've got girls field hockey coming in, and then also there's quite a bit of room for spectators. We've got bleachers, we've got benches, we've got a concession lounge where people can get food and drinks. We're going to have multiple sports going at the same time, using every square inch of this place for what it was conceived for, which is basically people to come in, have a good time in the sport that they prefer. We manage each situation differently. Everybody has different ability to afford different things. Some are bringing 10, 15 people, some are just 2 people. I've had a lot of situations where it's a father shooting around with his son, it's a mother playing pickleball with her daughter or with her son, and in those situations come up and we work with people, and that's allowed us to have groups from 2 people up to 30 people and have some flexible pricing behind it. We're an organization that is here to work with the community any way we can, and I guess part of it is just making sure that we have the flexibility to put together a plan that makes sense regardless of the size of your group. So in order to book time, the best option is to go to our website, gamepointsports-syr.com. You can click from there and sign up for events, sign up for your own particular training, sign up for birthday parties, all of that.
Hi, this is Chris Rauda.
And Colleen Rakowski from Gray's Craze of Clay.
It's a fun, innovative, upscale catering solution. We've turned eating into a whole new experience. Each of our boards is packed with delicious mix of artisan cheeses. We use premium cured meats, fresh fruits, nuts, and all of the sweet touches that really bring out the best in every perfect bite.
We offer something as small as a grab and go that feeds 1, maybe 2 people, to our large board that can serve anywhere up to 25, 28 people. So we have the ability to really meet and hopefully exceed all of our customers' expectations when it comes to the different varieties of things that we have.
Charcuterie boards or boxes are healthy, fresh, delicious. They're made to order. We're baking the breads here daily. We're baking the cookies here daily. All of our dips are homemade, made in-house. All of our spreads are all made in-house.
When you open that board or box that we have delivered or you have picked up, we want you to know that it was made with care and designed to completely elevate your event, celebration, or meeting.
We've catered parties and events for up to 300 people. So if you're walking in to grab something for lunch or something for date night or movie night, that's great too. Our events go from you eating in the car on the way home to a catering event in a rehearsal dinner or cocktail hour or party.
When we do, again, know what the event is, specifically for a wedding, we like to schedule tastings so the bride and groom can come in and see what we have to offer, and we can then, as we talk, to try to understand what they're looking for, what the venue's like. We do like to have that one-on-one interaction when it comes to catering bigger events.
Our address is 4599 State Route 31, Suite 5 in Clay, New York. We're on the corner of Route 31 and Henry Clay at Clay Marketplace.
You can order on the phone by calling area code 315-409-4171 or online at grayscraze.com/clay-ny. Come visit us at Gray's Craze of Clay, New York,
where we want you to celebrate everything.
Hey everybody, this is Rockney Roberts from Willow Rock Brewing Company. We are here in Cicero at the Willow Rock Pizza Pub.
And I'm Kevin Williams, also from Willow Rock Brewing Company. Happy to be here and happy to be partnering with CNS and Dan Tortora.
You want some place where you can feel comfortable and hopefully ingratiate yourself with the community. And Kevin, he grew up right down the road from here. I grew up in Brewerton, so not too far away. We know the area, we know the people, they're great, and we were just really excited to be able to come to the area.
Yeah, and having the opportunity to meet some of these coaches, some of the people in general already, and seeing the CNS colors kind of around, and already partnering on a smaller level with individual teams really made this make sense to us to really formalize kind of a partnership with the school and get this rolling.
Willow Rock to me has always been about high quality beverages, high quality experiences, and now high quality food in our pizza pub. That was something new for us when we came to Cicero. Right from the drop, we knew we were going to have a focus on the highest quality food to go with our high quality beer. At the Willow Rock Pizza Pub, you're getting high quality, hand cut, top notch ingredients. We're open for lunch. That's a really important thing for us, is to be able to get that person in here like, hey, you only got 30 minutes for lunch, but we're gonna have something for you that you can get quickly and available to everybody.
Yeah, we wanted something that was just a little bit outside the box, a little bit outside of comfort zone, but still something that you could rely on to be consistent and easy to look at and easy to be like, oh, I can see myself eating this. I can see myself wanting to have that more than once. Eating a whole pizza like our beef on weck pizza, I've never seen one anywhere. It's just a great ideas, great inspiration across the board. We're their spot to stop. We're their friendly neighborhood watering hole, as well as pizza place and place to stop for a restaurant. Not just beer drinkers here. We've got wines, we've got cocktails, we got non-alcoholic stuff for the kids.
The location is more important today than it ever has been before, and we're lucky enough to be here in Cicero. The Willow Rock Pizza Pub is a place where you can bring your family. You can come in, you can grab a soda, you can relax. You can come after a game, before a game. your parents, your grandparents. Our goal is to make sure that everyone's comfortable here. We want students, we want athletes, we want your coaches. It's going to be a good time. So come here, enjoy the high quality food, high quality beverage that we're going to offer to everybody. And hey, go North Stars.
We're so happy to have the North Stars. We are very much a kid-friendly establishment. We have tons of space outside for everybody to be playing outside, as well as listening to live music, enjoying some pizza.
The Willow Rock Pizza Pub is open 6 days a week here in Cicero. That is Tuesday through Sunday. And our website is willowrockbrew.com, and our socials are at Willow Rock Brew. So find us on the net, find us in person. We'll see you soon.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jim Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. They are open for sales and service Monday through Saturday, and of course all the time online at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. So make sure that you head over there today, of course, to their location, as well is get in touch with them online. With that being said, we're in our final piece of today's broadcast, A Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and that piece being the ingredients to success, proudly presented by the wonderful team at Avicolli's. We were at Avicolli's last week in anticipation of the upcoming fight that's going to be happening at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, for CNY native and Liverpool High School alum Bryce Mills. We had him over at Avicolli's last week, and he did a tremendous job, as he always does. Great to see his family. Great to be around everybody. Make sure you go back and watch the broadcast. It's one of our most watched broadcasts that we've ever done together. Maybe our most watched broadcast at this point. So make sure you go and check it out. It's on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt. So make sure you find it there. And of course, it was also shared on X at CallDT. That's CALLDT. And we'll be back at Avicolli's this week, this Wednesday, June 10th at 6 p.m. with the Liverpool Legends baseball program, as they're not only Section 3 Class AAA champions, but they're fighting for a state title, and they're moving on. So they've continued to win, and there's good things hopefully to come for the Liverpool Legends baseball program, and I will be on site, on location with the team this Wednesday, June 10th at Avicolli. So make sure you come out and get some awesome slices of pizza like the ones you're seeing on your screen right now. Get some wings, get some salad, and of course their Italian dishes, and have a great time with us this Wednesday, June 10th, down the road from Liverpool High School at 6 p.m. when we welcome Liverpool baseball for an on-site broadcast on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora at Avicolli's. Today's topic, consistency in courage. Well, the show is connected from the first piece to the second piece, talking about the NBA Finals of Dave Pasiak, and then hearing Sydney Leitner in Bearcat Breakroom say, "Go Knicks," which provoked that conversation. Then Sydney said, "What would your friends and family say about you?" And I talked about being consistent, which leads us into the consistency in courage conversation here with the ingredients to success. And I can't pretend to be as smart as God that he helped me link these three pieces of today's show together without me having the intention of doing it the way that it came about this morning. And this is all him. So I give God all the credit. I was going to do, the show as we always do it and have the conversation and let it flow as it flows. But as God always finds a way to do, he makes me look like I was tethering them all together when this was totally him. Consistency and courage. I want to discuss what that means. It's important to be consistent, right? As long as you're doing good things, nice things, positive things. It's not good to be consistently not doing good things, right? Consistently being mean, consistently not being reliable. So consistency is not a good thing in and of itself. It's what you're consistent in. And one of the things I want to talk about today is being consistent in courage. Courage is difficult. This world pumps a lot of fear into your face. There are a lot of things that, I think that this world genuinely, a lot of times, wants you to just stay in the house. Watch the news, freak out, and buy what they tell you to buy. Courageous people are not necessarily unafraid. They're not necessarily people who haven't worried. They're people who will not allow worrying and fear and doubt to consume them. They might be scared, but they're going to keep going. If you go into Longhorn Steakhouse, there's a message that says courage is not the absence of fear. It's essentially knowing that you may be afraid, but saddling up anyway. So courage doesn't mean I'm unafraid, but it also doesn't mean I'm not getting on the horse and riding into battle, right? So some people think courage is the opposite of fear. If you're courageous, you're not afraid. Where this statement at Longhorn Steakhouse that sticks out to me is, courage doesn't mean I'm not afraid. Courage means I'm not going to let fear stop me. And so I ask you today, have you been courageous? I ask you today, do you saddle up anyway, even when life gets scary? Do you saddle up even when life gets scary? Because everyone's coming to the party when life is easy. Everyone's coming to the party when there's no traffic. Everyone's coming to the banquet when they're getting an award. Everyone's coming when there's free food. Right? Some people are like flies. They'll show up when it's free. Right? They won't come for any other reason, but if you got free pizza, they'll come eat. So some people do treat life like a fly. Then there's people that show up when there's no food, when there's a drought, when the earth is barren, when life is difficult, when things don't make sense, when it's scary, when it's hard. Flies are attracted to where the food is at. And some people are attracted to where something's already been done for them, right? The food's already been prepared. I'm just going to go get it. Where courageous people go and hunt for the food. They're the ones that are setting the table, not sitting down and eating what's already been done for them. So I ask you, are you courageous? Are you just showing up when it's easy? Are you just showing up when the work is done? Or are you doing the work? And are you doing the work? Are you showing up? Are you making yourself available, showing your face, lending your voice when it's hard? People will question you. Some people, if they don't see you doing something for them every single day, you're not doing enough. You could do a million things in a week and then nothing for a couple weeks, and they'll be like, well, obviously you don't care about me. And you're like, no, I just did the work ahead of time. Some people have to see you, and some people want you to treat them as if they are the only person on the planet. Right? I have, 20 clients? If I have a client that's like, if I don't see myself posted every single day on your social media, I'm going to be on your butt. I don't have 19 other companies I got to take care of. I don't have a personal life I got to take care of. I don't have things I have to edit and things I have to do. If somebody shadowed me for a day, I dare them to say that this is an easy road. I dare them to. And then I look at the fact that in the last couple of weeks, I've been healing from surgery, and it's sad that I have to think to myself, will some people in my life, professionally or personally, get on my case because they're not seeing me as much or what they're used to, and not even thinking about the fact that it's because I have no choice but to heal. Some people cannot be pleased. And I've seen it in my professional life, and I've seen it in my personal life. Some people, no matter how many people you reach their business with, no matter how much money you bring into them, it's never going to be enough. Some people, no matter how much you help them out with their family, or you cook for them, or you clean for them, or you do for them, it's never going to be enough. The moment somebody, you could have a friend where the moment you help another friend, they're going to be like, well, you're not helping me, you're not doing enough. And you might have spent the last 13 days with them, but you're spending day 14 with another friend, and they're going to get on you and say, I can't believe you're such a bad friend. It happens. It happens. And this is where you have to be consistently courageous. To stick up for yourself when you need to. pick your spots, but to say to people, you do not have to see me, hear from me every single day in order to know that I care or that you matter. And if you have the time to terrorize somebody and constantly tell them they're not doing enough, well, then you're probably not doing enough. See, I find in people there are certain character traits that I'm not attracted to and I do not want to be around. And the people where it's never enough, or it has to be in their face at all times in order for it to be enough, I don't want to associate with those people. Because those people will push you to become ill. Because when you sleep, they want you to regret it. When you help somebody else or do something else, they want you to regret it. When you go on vacation or you take care of yourself, they want you to regret it. If you take a nap, they want you to regret it. Because it's all about them. And I had a teacher like that. I had a teacher where you almost felt like they didn't know you had other subjects. They would just put on you and put on, like they were your only class. And I remember going through high school and thinking to myself, like, does this person not know that we have 10 other classes that we have to take care of? You know, if you give us 3 hours of homework every single day, when am I supposed to do the other stuff? I mean, you got to understand, when I went to Christian Brothers Academy, I got a fantastic education. It was a college education. I might go home and start my homework at 3:30 and finish it at 11. And now we hear these kids like they don't, not sending kids home with homework. Everybody passes. They coddle the kids because they don't want to bother the parents and they don't want to get fired. And I'm like, oh my Lord. The pendulum swung way too far in the other direction. Like I was pushed to be a college student in 9th grade and count or write in cursive. Wow. And why do we get rid of cursive? We want everybody to look like an adolescent. We want everybody to look like a caveman. Like everyone's going to write in block letters for the rest of their lives. Come on now. What's cursive doing to hurt the world? And why would you take that out of school? Just certain things. I mean, so how do they sign their name? Do they write it? Out letter by letter. It's just funny how we've evolved in technology, but devolved in certain things that we used to put in schools. And I'm not saying there's bad teachers, there's fantastic teachers, but they've had teaching tools taken from them. So technology increases, but kids can't count. You go to a store now and you give somebody change, they don't even know how to count it. There are people in this world that if a computer can't tell them what to do, they don't know what to do. So they are a vessel with a heart and a soul and a brain, but they're not using the brain part. It's almost like they're just a hollowed out thing waiting for technology to talk to them. And that's scary. That's very scary. We are living in a society that is relying less on individual growth and more on expecting an outside source to create our happiness, to take care of us, to fund us, to feed us, to clothe us. When you become dependent on the world, something bad will happen. And it's not an if, it's a when. My dependence, it's not even a dependence. I choose to love the Lord. And I choose to work hard. Now, there are things I hope. I hope when I wake up in the morning and I flip my switch that my light turns on. I hope that my internet's working. Right? I hope that my phone works. But we don't know what's going to happen. All the time. We rarely know what's going to happen. And that's why being consistent in your courage is imperative, because only the courageous are the ones that are willing to fight when something's wrong, something's off. You have to stick up for yourself. I am a firm believer that you will get bullied your entire life until you put your foot down. And then they may try again, and you may have to put your foot down again. But there is no one on this planet that will not be challenged. Nobody. Jesus Christ murdered perfect human being. If he was challenged by society for doing absolutely nothing wrong, don't be surprised in the fact that you will be challenged. We are all challenged. And it is how we respond to the call. I am a very, very, very firm believer that you will be called to be courageous throughout your life. And sometimes you may be, and sometimes you may not be, but it will nag you until you choose to be consistently courageous. I have people in my life that disrespected me for years and years and years and years and years in my family, in my blood. And I don't want to lose them in my life. So I have navigated. And I wasn't courageous with them. I was bullied and I stayed quiet a lot of the time. And then I decided to stick up for myself and nothing changed. And I stuck up for myself and nothing changed. And I stuck up for myself, but I kept doing it. And what I realized was I'm not sticking up for myself so that something will change. I'm sticking up for myself regardless of if the thing out of my control changes. I'm sticking up for myself to know that it's not, and this is what people don't understand. And I had somebody say this to me before. They said, why would I stick up to someone who's never going to change? You know, like, and it was somebody was doing something toward me and their family. And I said, if we're a team, then why don't you stick up for me? Like, why don't you tell them to stop treating me this way? I would never let my family treat you this way. And their response was, what's the point in telling them when they're not going to listen? And I said, because it has nothing to do with changing them. It has to do with drawing a line. You are not telling them that they have to change. You're not demanding they change, and you're not trying to control them. You are telling them, no matter what they do, what you're going to accept and what you're not. And if they cross the line, then there will be a consequence. Asking someone to change, you're hoping. Telling someone whether or not you change, this is where I stand, that's courage. And the people in my family that stopped bothering me in a certain way, years go by, and it comes right back. And I get challenged again, and God says, will you be consistent? And I calmly, without swearing, without calling names, without yelling, I say, I don't like your behavior. I don't like the way you're treating me. I don't like the way you're carrying yourself. Please stop, because I am not going to put up with it. And how did the person respond? Like a child. But it's not about their response. It's about me being clear. See, that's something that I thought in my life. I thought, I'm going to tell someone how I feel, and that's going to make them change. I'm going to get them to treat me well. That's not how life works. Being courageous, standing up for yourself, standing up for others, is not about changing anything outside of yourself. It's about establishing your strength, and it's about establishing boundaries. I've worked with a lot of different businesses. I know the ungrateful ones. You will never please them. I reach 1 million people. Why isn't it 2 million? I make you $2,000. Why isn't it $5,000? I know those people. And I sniff them out. There are people that will appreciate you bringing one person that they didn't have. They will appreciate your efforts, your enthusiasm, the way you carry yourself, and they will love having you in their corner because they genuinely trust you and they know that their business is in good hands with you. And there are other people that are like, you could cheat on your wife, be the most terrible person on the planet, be just a horrible, crass, negative, hateful human being, but as long as you make me money, I don't care. And I don't do the ends justify the means. I do not associate myself with people that are perceived successful, but very immoral people. And I gravitate toward people building as opposed to people that have already built, because I built. And I understand the tenacity and the passion that it takes and the dedication and the faith and the hope that it takes for that. And I can proudly say that most of the businesses that I work with in the time we've worked together, they've all grown. Who they were when they took a chance on me and I took a chance on them, they're bigger than that now. And I'm bigger now. And I love that we got to do that together. And I'm not saying that in an ego way. I'm saying it's easy for people to believe in you when you're successful. It's hard for people to believe in you when you're talking about what you plan to do and you're on the road to achieving. Fewer people will follow you on your road to achievement than will follow you once the achievement is unlocked. Many will show up when you're a champion. Few will show up when you are practicing to become one. And what I've found in life is there are people that will take pictures with you because they want people to know that they were standing next to someone that achieved something. And then there's people that'll take pictures with you 5 seconds after you just stopped hysterically crying, because they will always be there for you. Our consistency should never be based on material or success. Because any person with any perceived success in society understands that nothing happens overnight. Everything takes work. And no matter how hard you work, how much you do in your marriage, in your friendships, in your family, in your work life, on your team, no matter how much you do, the moment you have a bad shooting night, there's going to be part of that fan base that's going to say you suck. Even though you just made 50% of your threes for the last 3 games, you made 13% in the 4th game, and they forgot about those first 3. No matter how long I'm in business, people will question the validity of my business, of my efforts, and of who I am and what I do. You could do everything for your husband or your wife. You could clean the entire house, top to bottom, every week, and they could not notice, not care, or the one day that there's dust on the countertop, say something stupid to you. The ungrateful will always exist, and it has nothing to do with you, because chances are the ungrateful restaurant owner, they probably treat their cooks terrible, their staff terrible in general. They might be mean to their spouse. They might be mean to their kids. They might be the person in the grocery store that you never want to be around. What I've realized in life is people that treat people poorly, especially without being agitated to do so, that just do it seemingly out of nowhere, they typically have that MO with many people. I would say 99.9% of people that have treated me poorly and I have not understand what provoked it, I have eventually seen them do it or heard them do it to somebody else. 99.9% of the time, the people that you are like, I can't understand why somebody would treat me that way or talk to me that way, and I don't think I've done anything, that person will show that behavior to someone else. So the best thing that I can say to you is being courageous is not meant on changing people. Being courageous is not meant on not being afraid or worried. Being courageous is not meant on the fact that it's going to work out the way you want it to. But it's about waking up consistently, telling yourself, I am not going to have a bad day. Bad things may happen, but I am not going to have a bad day. And when you start to choose having a good day every day, when you start choosing to stick up for yourself, pick your spots, be clear, direct, concise, and genuine, you will realize in life, if you lead with a pure heart and good intentions, the no's, those are of no concern to you. Yeah, you wanted that money. Yeah, you wanted that partnership. Yeah, you wanted that date. Yeah, you wanted to go to that event. You wanted that credential. You wanted that opportunity. You wanted whatever. But there comes a time in life where you've been through so much that you cannot help but say to yourself, I don't want my emotional state, my mental state to be changed by things outside of me. I cannot allow my good or bad day to be determined by people, places, and things. I have conversations that I think are absolutely idiotic for me to even have to be a part of. But I walk into them saying, be prepared, know what you need to know, do the best you can, and if it's a logical conversation, well, then maybe there's an outcome where you can both figure it out together. If it's illogical and irrational, maybe that's the last conversation. But your courage doesn't mean you're not scared. It doesn't mean you're not annoyed. It doesn't mean you're not frustrated. It just means that you've made a decision to not allow this world to devalue you. Let me say this different. You cannot control if the world values or devalues you. But when you are consistently courageous, you've made the determination every day when you get out of bed that you will not devalue yourself regardless of this world. You know how many NBA players that are champions, but at some point somebody thought they sucked? People still think they suck. There's people that win championships and somebody finds a problem with them. You could do everything right and still be hated because you make more money than somebody else, because you look prettier, more handsome. What do they say? Sometimes people treat you the way they treat you because your spirit aggravates their demons. I've been in conversations where all I have done is attempt to help, and I've gotten back some pretty strange behavior. And it's in those moments that you say, okay, do you? I'm here if you need me, but I'm not going to stick around and be a part of this nonsense. See, we live as if we're never going to die. And do I believe in everlasting life? You bet I do, because I believe in a God who loves us all. And I don't think that God's promise is ever broken by God. It's broken by us. If we don't make it to heaven, that's a us problem, not a him problem. And I don't think he ever told us that it was going to be easy. But he said, do not be discouraged. Do not be dismayed, for I am with you. I go before you. Life is not easy. The challenges sometimes are vast and many, and sometimes it seems like when one thing goes wrong, it's like other things sniff it out, and instead of having one problem, one leads to two, two leads to 10. But I also think in those moments, God is saying, you didn't expect these 3 fires. But as you work to put them out, as you work to respond positively, will you appreciate the blessings amidst the flame? And I ask you if you'll do that today. If you will be consistently courageous and move forward in life, even when the flames seem to only be getting higher, taking up more places. Are you willing to be you when it works and when it perceivably doesn't? A pure heart and good intentions lead not to a failure. God bless you all. These have been the ingredients to success, proudly presented by the wonderful team at Avicolli. Go and visit them 7 days a week for lunch, dinner, and drinks. And because the weather is nice, that patio is open. So we'll see you out there for the patio, indoor and outdoor seating, the pizza side, which is more casual, the fine dining side, and of course their bar. You can also call them for takeout, delivery, and catering by getting in touch at 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. Or go to myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. We'll take a step aside. These have been the ingredients to success: consistency and courage. And if nobody's told you this today, you got this. Keep being you. God loves you. I love you. And I mean that, because you're my brother or sister in Christ. We are one big family. And I never, ever, ever want you to give up on you. If the world turns their back, know this: God's arms never stop from being open and ready to be embraced by you. And you being your own best friend is one of the best things that you can do. Because if you do not love yourself, how can you not only love others, but even accept it? You're not alone. Life is hard, but love is real. God is real. And it will be okay.
Hi, this is Gina Husted. I'm part owner of Skippy's Ice Cream. The other half is my better half, Don Husted Jr. When somebody comes up to the truck and it's a family, it's nice that the older generation is nostalgic and they can tell the younger generation, back in my day, we used to have the truck around our neighborhood. So now you're lucky because the truck can come to your party, and you're lucky that this truck is at a festival and you're getting to buy the ice cream. And basically we're ice cream that comes to you now, specifically comes to you, not for you waiting for us. We're coming to you. We will do neighborhoods if you have a block party. We do birthdays, we do anniversaries, we do celebrations of life, we do wedding showers, we do festivals, we'll do corporate events, we have a lot of corporate picnics, we have family reunions, so it's a whole wide range of whatever party you have, we'd love to be at. We're so appreciative of the community, always coming up to us at festivals and calling us to have different events. We have a lot of return customers. We always have people coming up to our truck. We're always there for the community. We always try to give back to different organizations and fundraisers, and so I think the community sees that. We like to give back to them. This is where we live. This is where we were raised. This is where our kids were raised. So the community is very special to us. I mean, obviously, we've lived here our whole lives. So it means a lot that they come up to our truck and that they choose us, because we're just there to please the community and deal with as many people as we can in this community, because this is, like I said, where we were born and raised. If you'd like to get in touch with Skippy's Ice Cream and have us at your next event, I would suggest using our email, skipthecake, skipthecake, skipthecake@gmail.com. That's the fastest way to get a hold of us. It's the easiest way to get a hold of us, and that's going to get the fastest response from us. If you choose to call, if you don't have an email, then you can call 315-456-9750, and we'll be glad to get back to you as soon as we can. Skippy's Ice Cream, the original ice cream truck.
Avicolli's restaurant, located on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, has been serving our community for decades. Your place to go for home cooking on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road is just minutes from Liverpool High School. And every single month, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is on site, on location, with Liverpool sports, student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories throughout the year. We look forward to seeing you on site at Avicolli's for their casual pizza side, their fine dining, as well as their bar. And of course, you can order online at myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. For takeout, delivery, and catering, call 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. Come on into the neighborhood spot Avicolli's, open 7 days a week in Liverpool, New York. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is your home away from home for your furry-loving friends. Open 7 days a week with drop-off and pickup times in the morning and later on in the day and early evening. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is the spot to trust with your dog for short and long-term stays. Call 315-299-4013 for more information. That's 315-299-4013, and go to k9campground.com as well. That's KAMP ground.com, where you will find all of the information on their different cabins, which include the classic cabin, executive cabin, grand cabin, and luxury cabin. K9 Campground Dog Boarding, where your dog will have indoor and outdoor areas as well as their own private cabin for any size, any breed, as well as dogs with different needs. Dog parents and dogs alike choose K9 Campground Dog Boarding. Isn't that right, Lily?
Hello, this is Dylan Husted, the owner of the Baked Potato Express. We do mostly big festivals or big corporate like private events. Typically just big festivals such as like Taste of Syracuse, Food Truck Battle, Battle of the Wings. I do the State Fair. They're ordering from a fresh food truck that is making real food and happy to make it and wants them to enjoy every bite. We season every potato before they go in the oven, and then they bake for an hour, and when they come out, we season them again after we cut them. We use real butter, real cheese, real ingredients, so it's all really good food and people love it. We have a lot of returning customers and regulars that we see very often. The customers really make a big impact, and this is a big food truck community. The events here are super busy. It's like in my blood. I like building things and creating stuff that people love, and me and my friends are the ones that run the truck, so it's kind of, we keep it's a tight circle in there, and we have like a family sort of oriented truck, and it's a lot of fun, and we have a good time doing it, and people love our food, so it ends up making it well for everybody. You can contact the Baked Potato Express at thebakedpotatoexpress@gmail.com or the Baked Potato Express on Instagram or TikTok. We are very happy to be partnered up with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as the exclusive sponsor of the Annoying Moment of the Week. And be sure to try DT's baked potato creation at all of our food trucks. The Baked Potato Express. Let's get baked.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave. Go and visit them for your sports card and trading card needs, and go be a big kid. Open up those packs and boxes, or look in their cases and bring home the cards you can see. Those singles, those graded cards, so many great things, autographs, one-of-ones. Just an amazing place to get closer to the teams you love, the players you love, and the games you love to play, those card games, and of course, the characters connected to those games. Appreciate all that they do, starting with Josh and Anthony, Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, Sundays from 10 to 5. We'll see you at GG Cards and Breaks. And a big-time shout-out and much love to Chick-fil-A in DeWitt. They're unveiling new stuff. There's new beverages to go out and get some today. Head to Chick-fil-A in DeWitt, man. It is warm outside. You need to get refreshed. The pineapple dragon fruit is here, made with natural pineapple and dragon fruit flavors. We'll see you at Chick-fil-A DeWitt today for the sandwiches that you love, the nuggets that you love, the traditional favorites of Chick-fil-A, and of course, pineapple dragon fruit. Why not? Especially on a day like today. Corner of Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard. We'll see you over at Chick-fil-A in DeWitt. Can't miss the giant brick building. With that being said, I want to thank you for being a part of the show inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.mixlr.com. Of course, many thanks to Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Download, save, and follow us there. And of course, make sure to support our wonderful partners in Central and Upstate New York, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world, Myers Creek, the Baked Potato Express, Pizza Man, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Skippy's Ice Cream, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Brian's Landing, Gray's Craze at Clay, New York, Game Point Sports Complex, Avicolli's, Chick-fil-A in DeWitt, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Willow Rock Pizza Pub, and the Willow Rock Brewing Company, Mother's Cupboard, and of course, we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Binghamton University Bearcats. Check out the Bearcats every Tuesday like today at 10 a.m. Eastern Time every single week. Exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University, in the spotlight with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni. Find them by going to youtube.com /WakeUpCallDT. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell. Find the Binghamton playlist of over 150 specials, including Sydney Leitner's that will be added today. And shout out to the America East Woman of the Year, the first in the history of Binghamton University. And of course, you can find the Bearcats on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage, and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to BinghamtonBearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, thanks to Dave Paziak for NBA Finals, Sydney Leitner, the America East Woman of the Year, and thank you to Avicolli's for the ingredients to success. In the meantime, Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X at CallDT, Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. God bless. No stress. Do your best. We'll talk soon.